Still, Misaka, and Nemum was a summer brabo, and it can afford na swabrabo, canino, na anti-sacro. So, would this case ye? And I said, Uchensika, our lorry station, na a year a home say, Neso, and ne, Momo and see.
Misaka pensions, Caro.
Misaka order sika.
Misaka
insurance no.
Misaka loan.
Momo fogusuri ye echumaden. Di aboye nyina ye sika ho ban. Se MTN ana Momo jumaye ni befrewa. Or the 0244 300,000 ene befrew. Na numpo orin bitsaw one time password ana say upin code enti wonso ye wa femu die na ma wani na ho na wonsa enka wo Momo.
Timpani, and I'm in Accra. I should be able to move for them to buy materials. When I'm here and they need fuel for the farm, I should be able to move money for them to do that. If I'm buying cashews from Nkranza, I should be able to move money conveniently. And I think that over the past 10 years, I've entered the banking hall only about 5 times because of the fintech ecosystems and the opportunities you've given us. And when I take a look around this room, I see all the movers and shakers. I'm seeing very old friends, people I've not seen in 5 years. I'm seeing regular faces, and it means that we are here for business. And today's forum is built around one powerful idea, that when we work together, we can drive more growth. And when we work together as well, we can eliminate or remove the threats to the growth and the convenience that we want in the space. And I think Momo couldn't have chosen a better theme for this morning than the one we have. Uniting against fraud, strengthening ecosystem collaboration. And I promise you, today is going to be very good. Last week, we got a text message on the Super Morning Show, somebody complaining bitterly that she had lost money, because as usual, people are using social engineering to steal money. So post the show, I personally called the person and started explaining the processes. And I know the work all you partners are doing, but I believe there's a lot more work to be done. And so today, you are the industry people. I am giving myself the title of the representative of the citizenry. And so today, by the time I leave here, at least we should get 5 points, we should get some 5 action points that we can all work towards to fix the industry, to grow the industry, and to fight fraud. Do we all agree that we have to work on this together? Please put your hands together for yourselves. This agreement is a good agreement. And before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge some of the distinguished personalities we have here. I'll start from the host nation. This year we are going to the US for the World Cup. The host nation is not that popular globally, but this host nation, they are very, very popular. We all love them, don't we? So I'd like to start by acknowledging the presence of the CEO of MobileMoney Limited, Shaibu Harina. Please put your hands together for Shaibu. But you see, some host nations are sometimes joined. You remember when Ghana and Nigeria hosted? the AFCON. Did we win that, or we tried to win that? We didn't win, right? So this host nation is a joint host nation. We also have the CEO of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, here. Please put your hands together for him as well. And I have made the analysis on radio that if every institution, public or private, were as strategic as MTN, Ghana's GDP shouldn't be what it is now. It should probably be in the trillions of dollars because we sit on a lot. So we are learning from MTN and your growth and your strategy, and I hope other institutions also learn from MTN. We also have Adjoa Riafe, the Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer of MTN Ghana. Adjoa. And please forgive me, I'm seeing friends, I'm seeing old faces and new faces, so I'm going to mix up the introductions, okay? I've seen my brother-in-law from the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Oriku Asari. Good morning, welcome. Oriku is with the Bank of Ghana, Fintech Division. I can also see Clara Arthur from GIPS. Clara, CEO of GIPS, please put your hands together for Clara. Sylvia is here. Sylvia, I have a long history with Sylvia. Sylvia also Nkuma, CEO of Digital Telecoms Chamber. Sylvia, please put your hands together for Sylvia. I can see the ESCO members of MoMo Limited, MobileMoney Limited, and also some of the ESCO members of MTN. Please give me just 30 seconds. I'll run through the names because these are the people who have gathered us here, and I think it's just fair that I acknowledge them. Abdurazak Isaac Ali is here. He's the Chief Commercial Operations Officer of MobileMoney Limited. Abdurazak. Sylvia Otue Champon is the Chief Products and Services Officer for MobileMoney Limited. Sylvia. Charles Asamoah Asa is the Chief Technology Officer of MobileMoney Limited. Charles. And we have Divine Salas Yagbeti, Director, Cybersecurity Authority, also here. Divine, if you are here, please give us a wave. As we go along, I'll be acknowledging all the other dignitaries here. And if I look around and I see your face and I remember where you work, like Mavis, who works at the company at East Legon, Mavis. IT Consortium, yes. The first time we did crowdfunding, we went to IT Consortium, and they helped us to put together a good crowdfunding package. We were able to raise money to support farmers. IT Consortium, and now your road has been fixed there. Back then, when we used to go there, the road was bad, but the road is growing like MTN MoMo. So the road has been fixed. Now, before we get into the main activity for today, I would like to invite the first speaker to set the stage for what we are going to do today. It's a very important conversation to have, and this morning we have a purpose statement. We have the CEO of MobileMoney Limited giving us a keynote address, and after that we'll have an opportunity to ask him questions and get answers. And then we have a special performance. There's this man who has contributed to the creative space a lot. He has a PhD in dancing. And it's not just dancing, creativity that drives growth across the whole spectrum. And so this morning, Dr. Terry Bright of Usu from the University of Ghana will be giving us a special performance. Please put your hands together for him. And then later we'll have a panel discussion to discuss how we can make progress in the space. But to set the tone, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Susan Yelson, who will deliver the welcome address on behalf of MobileMoney Limited. A round of applause for Susan Yelson as she comes up to give us a welcome address. Please don't stop. Keep clapping for her till she gets here. It will give her the right energy.
Distinguished guests, CEOs and representatives of state institutions, including Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement Systems and Cybersecurity Authority, colleagues from the Bank of Ghana, leaders of fintech, banks and corporate partners, the leadership of MTN Ghana and MobileMoney Limited, and our friends from the media, good morning and welcome. It is genuinely good to see you all again, despite the pace and pressure of the past quarter. You've chosen to be here, and that speaks volumes about the importance of this ecosystem and the role each of you plays in it. Today is not just another industry gathering. It is a deliberate pause to connect, to challenge ourselves, and to move forward together. Our theme, Leading Fintech Solutions for Our Collective Progress, Do More with MoMo, is a call to action. It challenges us to go beyond individual success and focus on what we can achieve as a connected ecosystem, solving real problems, building trust, and delivering meaningful impact at scale. We have designed today with intent. By the time we leave this room, we should have clear alignment on 2 to 3 priority actions, a shared practical approach to reducing fraud, defined owners and timelines to ensure we follow through. Because ultimately, progress is not about conversation. It is about execution. We have brought together people who can make that happen, leaders, operators, and regulators, because real change happens when the right voices are in the room and aligned. Our focus today is simple. Share what is working and what is not. Unlock new opportunities for growth and shared value. And have honest, constructive conversations on the issues that matter most, particularly fraud, which is steadily eroding our trust in our industry. Fraud is not just a risk issue, it is a trust issue. And if we do not address it collectively, it will undermine everything we are building. So today is about partnership. It is about openness. It is about taking responsibility, not individually, but as an ecosystem. If we get this right, we leave here not just aligned, but stronger, with clearer direction, deeper relationships, and practical next steps we can act on immediately. Thank you again for making the time to be here. I encourage you to engage fully, ask hard questions, share openly, and connect intentionally. Before we close, we will agree on immediate actions. And within the next 30 days, we will reconvene to track progress and sustain momentum. My hope is that you leave here today with more than insights, that you leave with conviction, new partnerships, and a renewed sense of what we can achieve together. Let's make this count. Thank you.
We can do it better for Susan, and another round of applause for her. Let's make this count, and we are going to have action points. In 30 days, we will meet to review the action points and make progress. And so we need everybody to bring their A game to the conversation today. Now, this year, when companies started publishing their annual reports, those of us on radio will see MTN's annual reports, and they're like, Charlie, that's, where's our share? Like, there was the AGM last week. Like, if they throw 0.001% at us, it's not bad, is it? But they didn't throw it at us. Some of you got your share, but we are going to give you some more. Before we bring Shaibu in, the CFO cannot speak without giving us something, right? So we are going to put a QR code on the screen. Scan this QR code, enter your details. We are going to roll some questions on the screen, and the top 3 people are going to win some cash vouchers right here. Giddy, 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 before we get into the presentations. So please put the QR code on the screen. T's and C's apply. Papa, you are not part. MTN team, you are not part. Eunice from Gibbs, You have worked with you are too sharp, you are not parts. I'm eliminating some of the people. News center, you are too analytical. News center editor, if you are here, you are not part. So can you please put the QR code on the screen for me so that we can scan and give out some. And if you know you are very, very, very smart, you are not part. We will know the people who are very smart from the answers. So kindly put the screen up and so that we can go through. Now, whilst we do that, as a businessman, security is one of the most important things to me. And I like that we are talking fraud. But there's also the physical fraud of thieves stealing from you. We once interviewed someone he's a farmer, he keeps livestock. And he says every Wednesday, his workers call him and tell him 2 of his goats were dead. He only found out later that they would give them some medication, the goats will go to sleep, they'll take photos and videos sent to him because Thursday is a market day. So the Thursday, the goats will be up, they go and sell. Now there's MTN Business Eye. We call it Yacho. If you have a business, you can get the MTN Business Eye for your business. It will help you monitor everything 24/7. And I saw Angela here earlier. Angela is the Chief Enterprise Business Officer, Angela Mensapoku. Let's give her a round of applause. I saw her earlier. Where is Angela? Yes. So that is the QR code. Are you ready? Have we all scanned? Those at the back. My head is blocking you. Is it okay now? You see, the person I said should not scan is telling me my head is blocking her. It means she wants to win the thing. Are we all ready? Have you filled in your names? Let me also try. I can see Judy Mavis, Tao, Richard Bansa, Gino, Adam. Richard Bansa, Absent Mobile. Okay, let me read out the PIN for you. The PIN is 7825850. 7825850. If you cannot scan, you can go to kahoot.it. Kahoot.it. And you enter the PIN 7825850. Are we set now? This one is easy. What is the nickname of Ghana's senior national team? The football team. What is the nickname? Is it the Ghana Football Association, the Yellow Stars, the Black Stars, the Bafana Bafana? This one is very easy. Pardon? Oh, not everybody has scanned. Oh, but we gave you close to 3 minutes. So you want us to start all over again? Oh, okay, it's a democracy. Please, if you couldn't scan, next time, try and scan faster, okay? So we are going to go on. Which Ghanaian musician won the BET Award for Best International Flow in 2019? Is it Stonebwoy, Sarkodie? Is it Patapa or Shatawale? This is also quite easy. Okay. Now, which Ghanaian footballer is the all-time top scorer for the Black Stars? This one too is very, very easy. All-time top scorer for Black Stars. Asamoah Gyan, Abedi Pele, Dede Ayew, Osei Kofi. And what is the purpose of pouring libation in Ghanaian traditional practice? Last month was the Ghana month, so we learned a lot about Ghana. What is the purpose of pouring libation in Ghanaian traditional practices? The only part of libation I have a problem with is the fact that they will tell you that the gods want foreign alcoholic beverages, not the local ones. Just say, the gods, they want. So what's the purpose of pouring libation in? And Homowo is a festival celebrated mainly by which group of people in Ghana? Homowo is a festival celebrated by which group of people? Type your answer. This one, you type your answer. Okay, you type your answer. If you know the group, you just type your answer. Homowo is a festival celebrated by which group of people in Ghana? If you know the answer, you just type it in. We have 143 people competing for the top 3 positions today. Okay, did somebody write Asamoah? So if you belong to the Asamoah tribe, what will you be called? Anyway, mention one of Ghana's opponents at the upcoming World Cup. Is it, okay, so you choose the group you think we are playing against, whether it's Croatia, Panama, Ireland, Germany, France, Croatia, Ghana, England, Panama, Croatia. You couldn't scan. We thank God. Now, which of the following best describes the role of a chief in traditional Ghanaian society? Are chiefs political party leaders, opposition leaders? Are they the military commanders only, or the custodians of culture, land, and traditions? The role of chiefs. 145 people are attempting to answer this. And Kente cloth is traditionally associated with which group and institution in Ghana? Is it Ewe priesthood? Is it Fante Confederation? Is it Ashanti royalty? Or the Ga fishing communities? Who do we most associate Kente with? We have the last round of questions coming. And what is the traditional Ghanaian ceremony where a newborn is officially named and introduced to the community? Is it marriage? Is it homo? Is it puberty rites? Or it's outdooring? And which international tournament did Ghana reach the quarterfinals in 2010, making it the best performance ever? Is it the FIFA World Cup, Cannes 2008, Africa Cup of Nations, or the Olympic Games? Which Ghanaian artist is popularly known as the dancehall king? Is it Shatawale? Is it Stonebwoy? Is it Samini or Reggie Rockstone? Okay, so we are done. And we are going to see the winners for this morning. Alberta S, FAB, and number 1, the winner is, ladies and gentlemen, L. L, who are you? L, please get up. Let's put our hands together for you. That is L. L, what's your full name? Lois. Lois what? And where do you work? Unilever. Please put your hands together for Lois. Lois, you are taking home a 5,000 Ghana cedi shopping voucher. Yes, that's what Lois is winning. The second person, please, can you project the names for me? The second person. The person who was second. Charlie, go. You should come and pay tax. So. Alberta, you were third. Alberta is taking home a 2,000 Ghana cedi cash voucher. Alberta, where are you? Please get up, let's see you. Where do you work, Alberta? In Sano. Congrats to you, Alberta. And Fab, who is FAB? Oh, FAB, please get up. What's your full name? Frederick. Where do you work? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not giving it to you. So, effectively, Alberta, I'm giving you the second position, so your 2,000 becomes 3,000 Ghana cedis. We will keep the 2,000 for later. Amen. Okay. We'll get the podium, we'll get the fourth person, and the fourth person will take the 2,000. But at this point, I want us to make progress. Later, I'll announce the person who is going to take the third position. We are here because we want to have a very, very important conversation. Fraud is not just a statistic or a report. It's a person who wakes up to find that their whole account is gone. School fees is gone, medical bill is gone, capital is gone. Sometimes you take money from friends to run a project, so trust, also people lose their trust. And in a moment, you can lose everything that you've built on. So this morning, we are going to have a conversation on this. But before we have the conversation, we are going to have a presentation from the CEO of MobileMoney Limited. He leads one of Ghana's most impactful fintech businesses. In fact, one of Ghana's most impactful businesses. And under his stewardship, MobileMoney Limited continues to be a cornerstone of Ghana's digital financial ecosystem. He's going to give us the keynote address, give us the update on the business, and also share some insights with us. Please help me with a resounding round of applause to welcome to the podium the CEO of MobileMoney Limited, Mr. Shaibu Haruna. Please, a round of applause for Shaibu.
Thank you very much, Kojo, for the warm introduction. I would stand on all existing protocol, but just to say a big thank you to each one of you for sparing us your morning today. For me, this is a very important session for us to discuss as industry on some of the burning platform issues that we have together. Today, I'm not going to read out a speech, but I'm going to share some presentation around the business. And for us, it's important that we reach out to you also because we are also joined with MTN and our results are also public. It's important that we also share beyond what is available on the public platform, some of the details in terms of what we have co-created together as an industry. My presentation this morning will cover four important blocks. We have the operational updates, and of course, we'll spend some time to share with you what is our priority for 2026. And it's important to highlight that this priority is also anchored on all the other conversations that we've had with you over the years and the inputs that you've also fed into our business that shapes our thinking as to what is critical for the industry. And of course, I'll give you a sense check of the kind of understanding that we have around fraud and how fraud is evolving. And especially in the last 2 years, it's kind of evolved quite dramatically, and the need for more concerted action for us to combat it. And of course, I'll end on that point, and hopefully we can have a very interactive conversation around how we deal with it as a unit. Now, going on to my first slide, which talks about the highlights of our business, and just to give you a sense, if my slide can roll, but just touching on four key pillars. The first one is the way we look at the business from a customer base point of view. Last year, our customer base grew to around over 19 million. And we also saw the active agent ecosystem merchant ecosystem also beginning to evolve. And this was on the back of the removal of e-levy and all its impacts on the entire merchant ecosystem, where especially the informal play, where majority of customers who hitherto use their own wallet to accept payment started to adopt some of the merchant payment rails. And of course, the agent network have also expanded to accommodate the size of the industry and the growth from the subscriber point of view. So those key changes have happened on the customer side, and pleased to say that our ecosystem continue to expand. On the transaction side, the volume of transactions have also seen good growth, 18% year on year, and the transaction volume is around 8.4 billion transactions. This translates into about 23 million transactions we process on average every single day. So it's quite a massive scale in terms of operation to handle. The value of transactions last year is around 4.1 trillion, and we saw quite a significant growth in terms of the value that was processed across the ecosystem. Let me just highlight that when we talk about the value, it is not just the consumer side of things, but also it includes agent-to-agent transfer, which is important in fueling the ecosystem's growth and evolution. And of course, the float balance is also saw very strong growth in terms of the total float in the ecosystem, which includes banks' own funds, which is also put in the ecosystem. And last year, we saw quite a significant improvement on that side. So I want to say big thanks to our banking partners who have contributed in making this ecosystem what it is today. On the platform side, as I mentioned, we process around 23 million transactions on average every single day. Our average transaction per second is around 7.2 thousand transactions. And our availability level was around 99.7. Last year, we attempted a lot of platform expansion, and I'll talk about it later on. But what is important is that we managed successfully in Q1 this year to migrate from our old technology stack to a new one, which is almost double the capacity to process. And this would smoothen out a lot of some of the technology and capacity issues that we experienced last year. But so good progress on that side in expanding the ecosystem and support. And then you look at it, it's 7.2 thousand on average. Our install capacity last year was around 8.2 thousand, which is 8,300. And now we've scaled it up to 13,000 with capacity to, dynamically increase it to 15,000. So quite a massive investment in supporting the ecosystem growth and all the great innovation that you as partners are bringing onto the platform. Transition is still very slow, but good progress last year, lots of lessons learned, which is going to inform our strategy this year. 1.2 million, if you kindly go back to the earlier slide, is important. 1.2 million customers, and it's still a very insignificant proportion of transaction. Only 1.2% of transactions are actually going through the app ecosystem. And remember, the world is moved on into the app. 70% of our customers are using smartphones, but they still prefer to interact on USSD. And that transition is very important if we have to build a lot more resilient, a lot more intuitive services that all of us here are building for customers to access these services in a with less friction. We need to make that transition to the app very important, especially for those who have smartphones, right? It's important that we give them a better experience and also enhance the USSD experience so that we don't leave people behind. It's important that we have that twin-track approach to our evolution. I'll move on to the next slide, which essentially talks about some of the things that we've done together as industry from industry collaboration point of view on trust in dealing with the subject matter that we're going to be talking today, which is around fraud, and also the ecosystem innovation that has happened, a lot of it around lending, and we're also happy that the Bank of Ghana have also introduced the digital lending framework to allow for this ecosystem to evolve. There's a lot more that we can do to streamline that whole ecosystem and build a solid credit economy. You know, today our economy is all prepaid. You want to buy something, you always need to have cash, right? We want to use this platform and through the partnership that we are co-creating to build the next frontier of not just business for ourselves, but really for Ghanaians in terms of access and convenience of accessing funding to support lifestyle as well as business. On the operating environment side, we've seen a lot of regulatory changes. That for us opens us opportunity for all of us in expanding our business and also entering into new frontier. And we are very excited about the opportunities that these changes are going to. It's going to disrupt all of us in certain ways, but I think collectively it's going to spur growth in the fintech environment, and we are very excited about the prospects of it. And of course, I talked about the channel growth around the amplifying our journey, which is, you're going to be tired of hearing me talk about it because it's such an important shift that needs to happen, but we have to be ready for it. Last year, we learned a lot of lessons in doing it because we realized that whilst we wanted to shift, our customers were not exactly ready for the shift, and also our partners were not fully ready in terms of preparing their environment for that transition. And we have to work together with you in order to build the whole pool to make the transition happen. So we are very committed to driving this conversation with you going forward. Now, moving on to my next slide, there were some pain points, and I just want to be very open and perhaps provoke some thoughts in this conversation. We had some platform stability issues, and particularly these were issues during peak transaction times, right? Where we had some capacity limitations. And we actually did 2 attempts at some upgrades, but obviously we landed it, in fact, last month with our expansion plan, which went very well with all the team from our partners who made this possible. We will continue to invest in our platform and ensure that we are building it not just for mobile money limited, but for the industry to support growth and prepare for the next level of growth. Fraud, which is something that we're working together on, you know, we saw a certain shift in terms of the nature of fraud, and we invested quite a lot in terms of education, especially on the education side, but also in terms of building a number of system resilience to handle fraud. But it goes beyond what we're able to do on our own. It requires much wider integration to deal with this issue. It is not a mobile money fraud issue. This is a digital crime environment. Remember, the attack points have changed, right? Somebody who is doing an e-commerce transaction somewhere gets defrauded, and the attack point is on the payment side, right? So it can be a bank, it can be a fintech partner, or it can be mobile money. So there are different use cases that we are seeing. Somebody's WhatsApp is taking over. They are on a WhatsApp app, it's taking over. They now engineer your contacts and use that to now attack your account. So the plane for fraud and digital attack is changed. It's a mobile one, yes, but it touches the entire ecosystem. So we need to have a much broader approach to how we deal with this issue. And of course, there's also this big conversation, and I call this the elephant in the room, which is we are too big, right? And I think we have this conversation on the corridor to say mobile money is too big. But let's take a step back. We're just in the middle of doing some exercise just to even assess the entire fintech ecosystem. And it is very clear to us that, yes, we are a big player when it comes to the wallet pool. But we've looked at 8 to 9 what we call value pools of the fintech ecosystem. And the area of strength is only on the wallet side. Now, what does it mean? What it means is that the opportunity for growth and disruption from a fintech point of view is much wider than just that band, which is just one category. Now, that said, I think we can also, it almost feels like you are big, and for that matter, it's bad. But you can also be big and be a force for good and powering and enabling ecosystem. And that's how we want to look at our business. We are a sizable business, but we are also working with each and every one of you to make us a force for good. And we see ourselves as a critical national infrastructure for not just digital inclusion, but economic prosperity for everyone. So that is the kind of conversation that we want to have and look at it. We should be building multi-billion-dollar businesses in our country. And as a proud Ghanaian, for all intents and purposes, our business in the current size of it is, last year we posted 6 billion cedis in revenue. Now let's even unpack this revenue conversation. There is a big portion of this revenue that is coming back into the operation. The agents network that has to be fueled is going to be fueled through this port. The innovation and investment required to drive this platform is going to come into it. We can get into the details of unpacking it. But again, even if you come down to the PAT level of this business, you are looking like 35-40% of it. And there's still Ghanaian participation through the stock market where we pay back dividend to over 100,000 customers of ours. So I think it's a conversation that I would love for us to have another time, and also to see how we can really work together to make this great national asset a force for good for all of us. And of course, I think I talked about this part, and I'll move on to my next slide, and I'll try and go through this very quickly. I hope I managed to provoke a thought in all of us with this. Just a quick update in terms of our localization journey. I think we've spent some time to talk about how our business structurally we're going to be organized. And last year, we had a very extensive EGM where we communicated to the market in terms of the changes in our business and the fact that we're actually going to move from being MobileMoney Limited to MobileMoney Fintech Limited, which will be the new name for our mobile financial services business. Just pleased to inform you that we've gotten all the regulatory approvals for this. And so we will be, in due course, going to be operating as MobileMoney Fintech Limited. So this brings to a closure in terms of our separation journey. What does it mean? Well, for us operationally, It is one that ensures that we are fully compliant with the PSSA in terms of localization, and also from a customer interaction point of view, I think our channels remains the same. There is no change in the customer journey and experience. The mobile money brand, which is our mobile money logo, doesn't change. It's a corporate name which is going to change. And that ensures that we are fully compliant and our businesses are separated, but operating with us on an arm's length basis with MTN and all other partners that we work with. So that's the key change that is going to happen from our operating framework. Moving on very quickly, just to touch on some of the priorities we have for 2026, and some of which we've started executing, and I'll go through it very quickly. Key 4 pillars, driving financial inclusion, and it's about moving beyond the wallet and deepening use cases through the partnerships that we have with all of you gathered here today. So that's going to be a key driver of what we're going to do. Be it payments, be it lending, be it wealth management, be it, I've seen our partners building an ecosystem that goes beyond just financial transactions, but also lifestyle. It's important that comes through. System stability is very front and center for us to ensure that we're able to support growth and evolution of the industry. So top of mind in terms of building it, but not just stability, but also very resilient platform to support our business going forward. And of course, this ecosystem play is what we cherish and what we've created together, and we are going to sustain that and also extend it, deepen our collaboration with the Ghana Association of Bankers and all the other players, and perhaps create a forum for one voice. I think the fintech community is too divided in terms of the different touch points, right? And let's be honest, I admire the Ghana Association of Bankers. They are organized, they have a common front, even though they have differences amongst them, but there's a common front which help shape policy direction. And I think that we need to work together as a fintech community to build that framework that supports that one voice. We will not agree on everything, but there are a lot of important things that we can do together to carry one voice and move it forward. And it's something that we would like to work with all the chambers. I mean, I'm happy Sylvia is here to carry it forward and make it happen this year. So I hope this deserves a bit of a round of applause for this. And of course, we want to build, we have a very transparent commercial model. We want to make it a lot more transparent, a lot more inclusive. And we have a lot of working groups with Bank of Ghana and partners to make sure that it's transparent, it's inclusive, and we move and grow together as an industry. Moving on, by the way, do more with MoMo is going to be one of the running themes that we are going to be hearing. And it's not just from call it MoMo in terms of Mobile Money Limited point of view, but we are talking about the entire industry. We want to see our other demi partners also grow, because when they grow, the entire industry also grows, right? So we will support in any way that is possible to make it happen. Moving on very quickly, I'll try and land. These are some programs that we've lined up for the year. And what we are doing here, it's in that middle block, which is the Fintech Partner Exchange. And these are all the things that we intend to do to create that thought leadership and unison within the industry. The Fintech Arena is something that we're going to be pushing, which will be a thought leadership platform for us to discuss topical industry issues. And we will be hopefully co-creating a certain path during the 3I Summit to drive this aspect of it. And I encourage all of you to also actively participate in the upcoming 3I Summit, because it's going to be quite an exciting platform for us. We will be also, in due course, be inaugurating this program, which is the MoMo Innovation Lab. And for us, it's a way of, fintech innovation is not an Accra matter. Unfortunately, a lot of us are all based in Accra. We want to bring some of the skills that is certain in the pockets of the country. We want to create an avenue where we create this, and we will be calling on partnerships with you, with Bank of Ghana, perhaps create a certain sandbox environment uniquely for these participants to bring that innovation to life. So we are busy building the framework, but it's something that we are very passionate about it, and we will, in due course, be reaching out to you to see how we can partner you to really drive this agenda. And of course, capacity building will be very important. Our agent network, our law enforcement agencies, we will be working with them in building capacity to support the key areas of our business. And of course, part of the conversation today is around having a joint fraud attack plan for the industry, which is something we are very passionate about and want your support to make that happen. I think I'm going to perhaps just end on, if you kindly go to, these are just details in terms of some of the things that I've spoken about, in terms of interoperability, what we are doing, in terms of aggregator pricing, in terms of policy support, what we will be pushing, and of course, digital lending. We've already started a campaign on responsible responsible borrowing. And I guess the inverse is also important, because as you deepen access to lending in an environment where credit and credit score is not very pervasive, you need to have a way of bringing people socially, making them aware of the implications of overborrowing and using lending for things that are not sustainable, right? We've seen that happen in other markets where when the threshold of credit penetration gets to a certain level, then it gets eroded by some of the element of it. We've seen in other markets where people are borrowing to gamble, as an example. Those are realities of this market, and we need to conscientize our users around those elements. And it's a journey we have to embark on as an industry together. These are more details. I think I've spoken through this. I will not belabor the point here. On a platform side, we have a whole program around what we are going to be doing this year to ensure that we build resilience and we ensure that cybersecurity and all those elements are fully embedded within our ecosystem. So we have a whole program for balance of year, which Charles will be able to touch base with you in due course through the different platforms that we have. And finally, just giving you a view of our recent compliance posture, which is around control, the environment, the resilience of the business, the risk culture, and building trust, which is at the center of what we do. On fraud, I think there's going to be a lot to unpack on fraud, but just to highlight the fact that the fraud we are seeing, especially in the last 2 years, is a very interesting one. It has moved from being an isolated, opportunistic event to being an organized network, and you can even add an industry, right? Now, we cannot fight this industry with a silo approach. Last year, I know some of the banks did a lot of work on their own in educating customers, etc. We also did our bit through multiple fronts, and I know other partners have done their bit. But it is too isolated. And again, the fraud we are seeing is technology driven. AI is moving it to a different level altogether. So the attack plane is heavily mobile and is digital and is driven by technology. So you cannot use an analog system which doesn't even speak to each other to fight a cohesive attack from a digital plane. So really, what I'm urging, the discussion and the conversation that we're going to have today is to bring to light what can we do together? What can we do together? What can we commit together? And it's not like in a few days' time or in a few months' time, now, to deal with this issue, because we are behind on this curve and we have to work together. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Shaibu. Shaibu, please don't go yet. Let's give our audience the opportunity to ask a few questions. You've said a lot. There are people reflecting on some of the things you've said. There are some people who need further clarity. So if you have any questions, just put your hand up. If you've drawn any insights that you want to share, this is the opportunity. Shaibu can give us about 5-10 minutes for that. Okay, so please put your hand up. We'll come to you. You tell us your name and your company, and then you go ahead. Okay, there's a hand here and a hand there, so let's start from you.
Well, this is Strive from Point Africa. You mentioned there's a lot of social engineering happening with fraud that you're seeing on your end. What are some of the channels that you're seeing more patterns that they're using, WhatsApp, SMS, or any other channels being used?
We'll take yours as well.
Okay, so the attack plane traditionally used to be an SMS, a phone call, and then, they close at the circle. Today, it's evolved. You still have the SMS happening, but those are for you call them the less sophisticated guys. Those who are sophisticated are using the WhatsApp channel, and they then use that to socially engineer your network. And then, and then also you have e-commerce. Today we have people using different channels to actually buy and shop, right? Some are operating in those arenas as well. So you want to buy pizza, and then you get to a dodgy site, you don't validate, and then they engineer you to pick up your funds. So those are the attack planes that we have. But I mean, if you look at what is also happening outside of our jurisdiction, which ultimately is going to find its way in our market, is using deep fake, using AI to actually also socially engineer, and even creates almost authentic identities, right? To use them to break not just fintech environment, even a bank environment. So it's getting a lot more sophisticated, which means that we have to prepare ourselves for this, because it's ultimately going to find itself into our market. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Roderick with Apex Bank. From where you sit and with what you know with the complication of fraud, what is your nightmare? And as an institution, if you have to assess your controls with the growth of fraud, can you say you are ahead of it, with it, or below the potential of fraud? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very risk question. And that's the question my board would ask me as well. One of my board members is here, so he knows the conversation. So, look, no organization in today's world can almost say there's zero risk of that. Remember, fraud operates in two folds. There's the internal fraud risk, and there's also the external fraud risk, right? But I think the internal is what you have full control in terms of, the platform, in terms of making sure you have all the updates and you are investing in all the relevant tools that help control the internal fraud. So from a measure of confidence, you'll say that your internal control mechanisms are very robust, right? What you are always vulnerable is the external attack. And those attacks comes from multiple fronts. There's one that will come directly on your side, which, you have all the tools to kind of block it. So on your platform side, you are good. There's also the partner angle. We are connected through multiple partners today. So again, it's also a point of vulnerability, right? When your customer, your partner gets hit, it finds its way back to you. And so you have to have a layer of assurance with your partner. And for some of you, you know the work that we do with you in terms of having our own internal audit framework also covering you, because we also look at a partner risk assessment that we do. Now, the biggest headache is on the consumer side. And to be honest, we are very trusting as people, and sometimes we're a little bit too opportunistic, because people call you and they give you a deal which is too good to be true, and we actually, bite the bait, right? So it tells us that there's a lot of work to be done on that side. In fact, last year, we learned some valuable lesson in terms of our app transition journey, which I think is fair to also share. I mean, we are partners having a conversation here, which was the assumption that because people use WhatsApp largely, if you look at the number of customers who use WhatsApp, it's quite pervasive for all smartphone users, right? So the assumption is that people will use your financial services app the way they use WhatsApp. And that's how our customers are built to think, right? But when you are building, when you are designing your solution, you almost need to build like multiple layers of safety for your customers. And that's what we've done in terms of rethinking about how we look at security on our app in order to, build that level of sophistication, but also not make it too complex for customers to also use the service. So to answer your question directly, I think I've deviated a little bit, but internal control, great. My nightmare is my customer and their experience. And because their experience feeds back to the issue of trust. So we have to work together, and that's where we have to work together to deal with this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'll take two more, because we have a panel discussion coming up, and some of these things will come up in the panel discussion. So there's one hand here, one hand. You're on the panel. I won't let you ask a question. When you come, you have the chance. So one hand here, one hand here.
Asking the question.
Yes. So, sir, you can go ahead. Do you have the mic? Yes. Introduce yourself. And you don't have a mic yet. Okay. Let's take yours. Then we'll go there.
Thank you very much. I'm Malike from Stanbic Bank. Mine is not a question, it's a suggestion. And thank you for organizing this. I believe that the fraudsters are organized, but we are siloed. The banks together are not talking to each other that well to share information on how our customers are exposed to the work of the fraudsters. I think the telcos are also not talking to each other on how we are responding to how fraudsters are doing. So the three are doing things on their own. And I'm just suggesting that these two groups come together. Thankfully, GAP has a front. I don't know about you, but I think the chamber exists. So the two can come together. So we form a common front against the common enemy we have. The thing I think we should do is, just like we have a credit bureau, let's have this portal where if a customer falls victim to fraud, the details of the fraudster, the number, the device, and everything used is loaded there. And all of us have access to that information from the telco's end and from the bank's end, so that nobody else falls victim, because as soon as it's happening, everybody is integrated that into their systems to pull up a certain preventive mechanism. And something like that will work. I would just want to plead that you can actually champion that cause stemming from what you are doing right now. So beyond here, we move into that particular phase as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maliki, do you want to go to heaven? Charlie, I just bought you a 1-acre property in heaven. Because you just spoke to the theme for today, uniting against fraud. You just perfectly spoke. Please put your hands together once again for Maliki. We'll take the final one.
Thank you very much, Kojo. Shaibu, wonderful presentation, and I'm excited that we are all here to deliberate. There's a saying in Akan that if you be my own womb, what it means is that we have bad nuts in every family. In our quest to deal with the issues of fraud, internal fraud in terms of staff, in terms of agents, is not something that we can overlook. One of the key fraud management principles is deterrent. What is the strategy around exposing staff and agents within the ecosystem who compromise customer details for fraud? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know where you're coming from. Anyway, so to your point, I think you are spot on, and I would defer that to the panel to actually have that conversation. But I like what you are thinking. And to the point that you made, I think I spoke about the internal bit in terms of the control mechanisms that we put in place, and you build your internal controls around systems, around audit traces, so that it is easy to be able to trace when the event happened. What you can't control fully is collusion, and which means that when it does happen, it has to be punitive enough. And I think internally we have very strong and stringent elements that we've put in to ensure that that doesn't happen. Now, there's the agent angle, which is third parties who have, who are using the platform, and we know, and the Agent Association, I know, are heavily represented here in the room, and it's part of what we do constantly. So there are two parts of it, which is the agent management side of it when an event happens, which we deal with very decisively, and for such agents, we block them from accessing it. And this is, by the way, their business. So once we deprive them, we blacklist them in terms of access to our network. But also, on a proactive side, it's also about engaging them constantly. And I talked about a capacity building exercise that we do. We invest in that area and we expose them. Sometimes it is not intentional, right, from the agent point of view, when the event happens. Sometimes it's also deliberate. And we educate them to manage the unintended consequence of their action that leads to fraud, but of course, also reinforce our internal processes and policies around how we deal with fraud. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A round of applause for Shaibu. Thank you so much, Shaibu. I have a question, but I don't know whether my question, it should go to Shaibu or it should go to Stephen. In May 2024, when the subsea cable was cut, we couldn't make calls, we couldn't make transactions. And for somebody whose MoMo statement is usually about 200 pages, I wonder when it happens again, what's going to happen? Whether there are redundancies built into the infrastructure to ensure that if anything like that happens, I can continuously move money around. I think because of your education on MoMo fraud, I think I'm safe. But the thing that keeps me awake is if they call me from the site that there's an emergency, I need to send money. And Iran, US, there are threats, and anything happens. What have we put in place to ensure that I can always send money on the network and get business moving? That's what keeps me awake. We are talking fraud, but I know that me too, I just want to keep doing business. And so I don't know whether it's a question Stephen will answer for me later or I should come and see him later. You can tell me that. Okay, let me bring you the mic, Stephen.
We used to have 3 cables when that happens. Now we've got 5. So you're safe. Yep, you're okay. We've got enough redundancy geographically, so you're okay. So the reason we have 5 is because of that, just to make sure when that happened. We had 3, now 5. None of our cables go to the Middle East, by the way. None of the 5. So, you should be okay.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for Stephen. So now, I can do business everywhere I go and send money every time without worry. Thank you so much. We are going to have a quick performance before we get into the panel session. Our next performer, he is a PhD holder, really, in dancing. He's taught a lot of people. He's created a lot of value. And, okay. He's created a lot of value, and I'll be bringing him up very soon on the stage. But when you are doing these things and you have your regulator, you cannot have a complete conversation without allowing your regulator to have a word, especially with the 3I Summit coming up. So I'd like to give a couple of minutes to the head of Fintech and Innovation Office at the Bank of Ghana to give us some reflections and some comments. So please help me invite Mr. Oriku Asari to the stage.
Good morning, all. I think I'll stand on the current protocols. I just want to say that I'm a son of the ecosystem. I quite remember in 2007 when the thoughts of mobile money came to being. And at the time I was on the other side. We visited the central bank. It was quite refreshing and interesting. I didn't even think for once that today I'll be at the other side and I'll be asked to reflect on the journey or what has happened so far. But on a more relatable note, especially on what we are discussing today, if there's anything that I lose sleep on, and I tell Shaibu and Stephen this almost every time, and I quite remember when Ralph also came through, I repeated it. It's mobile money, MML. Because if anything should happen, as let's agree, mobile money is a platform, right? If anything should happen, 20 minutes, 20 seconds, you feel the effect. And we want to ensure that that level of focus on fraud is a heartbeat of what is happening on a daily basis in the meetings, in the boardrooms. And Shaibu always talks about it. I quite remember when they engaged us on the 419 short code. I looked at it, I was like, we don't even have to have a conversation around it. Let's go ahead. So I think it's important that we appreciate the contribution of mobile money. I have had opportunity to see the growth up to this stage. We are at a point where we need to protect what we've built together. Banks, the fintech industry, with the support of the regulator, we need to protect it. So, Shaibu and I have an open line. We are chatting 12 midnight because there are some conversations that need to be fast-tracked to protect the ecosystem. So I think I'm more than happy to be here, to be part of the engagement. I'd wanted to quietly move out because of other engagements. And Shaibu said I need to come up and say a few words. But there are a number of things that we are discussing with the chambers, and it was interesting. Yesterday we had a very good and healthy industry engagement. So I was just enjoying the conversation. MML was presenting, Abdul Razak is laughing, MML was presenting, and it was a situation where when it's good for the entire ecosystem, everybody say yes, yes, yes. When your big muscle comes up in certain areas, that's where you feel that others are poking the holes. But I think it's all healthy because everybody in the room recognizes the importance of MML. And I just want to leave with one thing, and I think I want to re-echo something that Shaibu said. We need to come together. We need to come together. Inviting the industry for engagements is almost becoming, during the launch of 3i, I asked Sylvia, I didn't see you. And then Sylvia said, I didn't receive any invitation. And I said, we are very intentional with our invitations, so you should have it. So I checked it, and said, oh, they sent it out. Somebody said, the response was, we sent it to A, and I think we missed B. Shaibu said that the Ghana Association of Bankers is quite strong. And I've seen CEOs of banks here. We meet the bank MDs every month. Every month. We need that united front so that we can engage for the growth and success of the industry. So if there's any plea that I want to leave you with, it's just re-echo what Shaibu said. Let's come together so that we'll have one voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's come together. Let's unite and fight fraud. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the MD of Absa Bank, Mr. Edward Botry. Your story matters. And the fraud story matters, so let's get together and fight it. We also have Antoinette Kofi, Chief Finance Officer of MTN Ghana. I saw her. Yes, Antoinette is there. And we have Angela Mensapoku, Chief Enterprise Business Officer of MTN, also here as well. Dorcas Jumo Mensah is Company Secretary, MobileMoney Limited. Yes, that is Dorcas. When Shaibu was presenting and he spoke about the regulatory approvals, the Dorcases and the legal people and the people who make it happen. So please put your hands together for her once again. And that leads me to Papa Osei, Head Legal and Reputation. Papa is here. Solomon Hayford is Head of Business Intelligence. Solomon, give us a wave, sir. And we have Grace Baden Ejapon. Grace, yes, give us a wave, Grace. She's Head of Audit. And Moses Tete is Acting Chief Regulatory Acting Chief Regulatory Risk and Compliance. Moses, where is Moses? Yes, thank you, Moses. So we are going to have a quick performance before we get into the conversation. Globally, we've seen people like Michael Jackson and Chris Brown, but locally, we have the international champions. You've seen people dance, you've seen people create value, but this man does it like no one else does it. And he's trained thousands of students and created a lot of value in the creative space. Please help me welcome Dr. Terry Bright Ofosu.
That was the clarion call by the MoMo warrior, the one who summoned you all here today. A call to strategize and be vigilant. You ask why? Why? Because we have a vision. A vision forms where partners meet as one to shape future work that's never done. Through shared insights, new pathways are begun. Together striving till the goal is won. A platform built for leaders to engage, to turn ideas into a stronger stage when plans align across the fintech age and wisdom flows through every voice and page. Today at the Mövenpick Hotel we gather, minds awake, hearts tuned as one for progress all must take. On April's dawn, new partnerships will take a stand for fraud, trusting that fraud is never going to break. Yes, fraud. You heard me right. Fraud. Fraud comes in different shapes and sizes. Phishing and social engineering, same swap fraud, malicious apps and links, USSD manipulation, card skimming and ATM fraud, online banking phishing, account takeover, insider or system compromise, fake loan offers, data harvesting apps, and there's unauthorized deduction, identity theft, impersonation scams, reversal scams, fake wrong transfer claims, agent collusion. Fraudsters, do watch out. We have our lenses on you. Hand in hand with the police, shoulder to shoulder with Yoko, head to head with cybersecurity authority, brain to brain with Bank of Ghana, heart to heart with National Communication Authority, financial and mobile money fraud. We are combat ready, and we shall uproot your works. So, let partner institutions, industry leaders, and internal executives align priorities, share insights, let us review performance, explore new growth opportunities, uniting against fraud, strengthening ecosystem collaborations. From banks and MoMo staff to regulators near, agents, merchants, partners gathered here, each voice united, purpose loud and clear, to guard the trust that customers hold dear. A customer once walked with hope in hand till fraud's dark web unfolded as it planned. Through phones and banks, deceit spread through the land. Oh, a silent loss no heart could understand. From wallet theft to loans that went sincere, through agent paths where doubt replaced the clear, each touch point echoed loss and growing fear, a broken trust that once felt safe and near. But hope returns when voices rise as one. A call about 419, the help begun. Swift action taken, justice now in run. Through joint resolve, the battle can be won. Together strong. The ecosystem stands with trust rebuilt through many helping hands. Whew. Together, we are here, where unity protects across all lands. So let us exchange ideas to foster transparency. Let us share our values and build stronger partnerships that support sustainable business success.
Artistic Visions from the University of Ghana. Wow. Those are students of Dr. Terry Bright Ofosu, University of Ghana Artistic Visions. But I think it's only fair that Doc comes to show us something small. You can't be the great creator of this, and you can't. Look, so my niece is going to get married very soon. And as an uncle, I called her and we're talking about love language. Then Uncle Gojo, I don't have a love language, but when I hear the MoMo alert, my eye they get. So Doc, when we hear the MoMo alert, you know the dance we do, no? DJ Bomenyumna Doc in Yemi show back before we DJ Choboy, 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 DJ Bomenyum. Doc, are you here? Charlie, show us something small. See the young man. A round of applause for Dr. Terry Bright Ofosu. What he did here, if I put 1 million Ghana cedis on this stage, 90% of the people here can't do because almost 60 people. Look, internal audit, where are you? Please take my phone and open my MoMo. Maybe my pen. Anybody who has him to do 20% of what he did, come and dance. I'll give you all the money on my account. It's not easy. Charlie, please put your hands together once again for Dr. Terry Bright Ofosu. We are going to get into our conversation shortly. And at this point, I'd like to invite my panelists to join me on the stage. And we have panelists from different sectors of the ecosystem who are going to make this conversation a very good one. So we'll start with Stanbic Bank. We have the Risk and Head of Risk Digital Payments, Stephen Tefe. Please, let's welcome Stephen to the stage. And Stanbic recently led a group of banks to do some big tickets transactions in the mining sector. So when we get more gold, Stanbic Kahobi. Please put your hands together once again for Stephen. From Haptel, we have the head of Internal Affairs and Revenue Assurance, Ebenezer Bofor. Please put your hands together for Ebenezer Bofor from Haptel. And from Law Enforcement, representing the CID boss, we have Chief Superintendent Emmanuel Jebi. Please put your hands together for Chief Superintendent Emmanuel Jebi. From the Association of Mobile Money Agents of Ghana, we have the board chair of Mobile Money Agents Ghana, Joshua Edmondson. Please, let's welcome Joshua with a round of applause. And from Mobile Money Limited, we have Risk and Compliance, Nana Tunde Davis. Please, let's welcome Nana Tunde as she comes. And you see, we have 4 men and 1 lady. In fact, if I add myself, we have 6 men and a lady on the stage. But it doesn't mean that mobile money is not inclusive. In fact, when I was looking at the data, 50% of staff of Mobile Money Limited are women. 50%. 50%. If the Parliament of Ghana aspires for that small, we'll get somewhere. And they'll have 50% MPs. Clara, no be so. And if you even check the board composition, if you want to see how serious an entity is, it starts from the top. And even on the board, representation is fair, 50-50. Please put your hands together once again for Mobile Money Limited. We have this very important conversation, and I would like to suggest that because of time constraints, as we go along, if you have any question, write it down. Write it, make it as precise and concise. If you have any thoughts to share later, when you have the chance, write it down so that we can be as precise and concise as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Do we all have our microphones? Yes. I'll give you one. Let me start off this conversation, and I want to start off with the other partners before I come home to Nana. So Nana, forgive me if I don't come to you earlier. I want to start off with the other partners. And I want to start with Stephen, whom I introduced first. From your experience working across banks and digital payment systems, we all know that fraud happens at the point where systems intersect. So it's a very, very important place to look at. Where do you see the biggest weak points or the leakages in these connections? And what do you think are some of the specific controls or solutions that have proven to be effective, and some of the things we need to do better in these points of weakness? Stephen.
All right, thank you very much. Before I proceed, let me correct my designation. I'm the head of forensic services.
Forgive me, it's my mistake. I'll send you MoMo.
5,000.
Please go ahead,
all right.
sir.
So when it comes to the banking industry, mainly our leakage point has been movement from bank accounts to mobile money wallet. And we are happy MoMo Limited is the one organizing this, because all the transactions move to MTN wallet, so Mobile Money Limited wallet. Yeah, so we've seen over the years that, as MD indicated, there's always social engineering and customers' credentials are compromised. So to solve this problem, we have to do training and awareness. So we always send messages to our customers for them to be very vigilant and not compromise their credentials. If you're a customer of Stanbic Bank, you even see that this week we have sent a note. Sometimes when the customers come to us and we engage them, then we ask them how did it happen, and then they tell you that an OTP was sent to us, and then we give it out. You read the message, and you see that even MoMo Limited will send a warning. Don't share this OTP, yet our clients keep sharing because the fraudsters are able to win their trust. And because the trust is won, they keep sharing without really paying attention to the warning that comes with the message. So we think education is the most important thing. This is not so much about technology. However, we've also seen that as MD indicated, they've done some improvement on their app. So we think that will also help. Yesterday, I tried to download MoMo app on a different device, and I realized that it indicated that I should use mobile data instead of Wi-Fi. So I was excited, and when I used that, and I used a different line, it didn't allow me. The OTP sent to me was just some numbers, so it didn't work. So I don't know if that's the improvement we have now in terms of technology, which will help us a lot in terms of confidence in the apps. Currently, there's confidence in the app because of the fraud associated with the app. And when it comes to SSD, you hardly find fraud because you need the number. The number must be present for the transaction to occur. So I am very happy if now the app is married to the SIM, such that if the SIM is not available, you can't install the app to do transactions. So education is what we are doing, and we hope technology intervention will also assist us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. But before I go to the next question, I have a friend, whenever he goes to the ATM, for example, the receipt that comes, he chews it. And I've always wondered why he does that. So I asked him, why do you chew your receipt? His reasoning was that a lot of people put their receipts in the bin, and he feels that scammers and fraudsters sometimes harvest information from these things. So he will chew his so that nobody will see the transactions he's doing and whatever money is in his account to do. Is it one of the points of failure for customers in giving out information to fraudsters? And what can we do to solve that?
Thank you very much. That's also a way of giving out information, because if for nothing at all, you give out your balance. If you leave the slip and then somebody takes it, the person will know your balance, and the person will know how much you have. But I've also made some observation, several calls, just like anybody here from fraudsters. But anytime I receive the call, I have money in my mobile money wallet. If I don't have money in the wallet, I don't get calls. So we also need to look at internal collusion. Yes, in various, within the ecosystem, not only a particular entity, all of us.
Okay, thank you. Please, a round of applause for Stephen. I'll come to you, Ebenezer. Haptel, I've seen how Haptel has grown. Back at City, how we used to talk about Haptel. It wasn't Haptel then. And now, wherever I go, there's a merchant using Haptel. So you've grown. Earlier, somebody asked a question about the challenges and the issues when it comes to the types of fraud that Mobile Money Limited was facing. Mobile Money Limited is in the same ecosystem, you are in the ecosystem, but based on your operations, you may also have peculiar challenges you're having when it comes to fraud. What are the issues you're having when it comes to fraud, and how are you dealing with them?
Thank you, Kwadwo. So, Haptel, as any other payment platform, we just sit in the middle between merchants and the mobile money operators. That's the dummies, as Shaibu mentioned earlier on. When it comes to our side...
Please speak directly into the mic for me.
Okay. When it comes to payment services, we just take the request from one point and transmit it to the processor, that is either mobile money or the card issuer. The biggest challenge we have, because the authentication of the transaction lies with the payment processor, what we are actually facing is social engineering, as we've all mentioned. And here, the difficulty is the payment service provider like Haptel, we don't have much information on the recipient. A number has just been put in, and we are just hitting the telco to say, send money to this person. One of the biggest challenges is how to get information about where the money is going to. For the person using your mobile app or your web services, you can do all your KYC on the person and say this person has passed my KYC. But then recipient, how do you get information on the recipient? So for now, what we are doing to be able to fight social engineering on our platform, as we've all said, it's not a technical thing. Whatever you put in between systems, the person has already been compromised, so the transaction is going to go through. So what we try to do is to now, when we detect social engineering transaction, we try to break the link between the sender and the recipient. And how do you just hold the transaction? What we do is to just hold the transaction for some time and now try to reach out to the sender of the money to find out whether the transaction they are doing, they are being influenced or they are paying to someone they really know. But in doing this with payments, with the numbers we receive every day, it's quite challenging, it's not scalable. So we can do for as much as we can. In between that, some will definitely fall through. So it's a big fight for us to fight social engineering. But I think the best thing to do is to try to bridge the gap when the transaction is happening, because when you leave it to systems, the person has already been compromised and they are going to share the information. So we have to now bring in more data to be able to tell that this recipient has already been reported on another platform, or this recipient that is trying to receive money has been flagged on a platform, and therefore make your checks before you send the money to the person. Yeah.
That's a lot of work. Now, if you had to resolve a fraud case in, say, an hour, right, what information, key information, would you need immediately? And what gaps currently exist now that slows down you getting that information to resolve problems for customers?
In resolving fraud, so it's all about, for now, within the industry, it's all about relations. There's no much information you can gain to say, I'm going to target this person to fix the issue. If the recipient of the funds is on MTN, it's your relationship with MTN Mobile Money to be able to get that resolved quickly. If you want to go through the normal form of sending emails here and there, I bet you by the time you reach out and you get response from the service provider, the money might have moved to another platform. So for me and for our team, what we do is to build relationship. So on my right here is Nana. I can walk to Nana's office every day, anytime, and Nana is willing to receive me because I've built that relationship with Nana. Same as MTN Mobile Money, I can take my phone middle of the night and call anybody that this transaction has happened, can you help me block it? So for now, it's more about relationship. The information doesn't exist for us to fight for or social engineering fraud.
So if you call this person at midnight and she has had a fight with a partner and doesn't want to answer the call, it means the person's problem doesn't get solved.
That is it. So you've sent the email, but you have to make some follow-ups to make sure that because if you don't do that with agency, the funds keep moving, and by the time you get to the final point or the final destination, the money has already been cashed out. And the moment the money is cashed out, it's gone.
Stephen and Beneza, when I come back to you, I want you to give me one thing you think we should do, because you've all mentioned problems. So one solution and one actionable thing we can do within the next 30 days, the next 60 days, that we'll all commit to work together. You are from a PSP, you are from a bank, you've shared your problems. So by the time you go around, you should give me a solution, okay? Now, I want to come to Nana, but you mentioned something, Eben. So I run an online fresh fruits and vegetables shop. When I try to integrate a payment system, they called me they sent me an email. They wanted evidence of the physical products I sell and evidence of deliveries to customers before they would allow me to trade to a certain point. So I think that's also a check that people put in place. But these days, people would call and say, I tried to buy pizza from place A, B, C, D, and I've been scammed. So that is also a problem that maybe you can suggest solutions to when I come back to you. Now, let me come to you, Nana. Since Eben has given me the permission to call you Nana, I will suspend the chief superintendent for now, because Nana helps me save time. Nana, from a national security and regulatory perspective, the trends are evolving. I remember when I started radio 20 years ago, SIM fraud, we were reporting SIM fraud every day. But these days, the trends are evolving. What are some of the new or emerging fraud patterns that you are seeing, and which are of a great concern to you, and what can we do to deal with these trends? Nana.
Thank you very much, Kwajo. The emerging trends we currently see, especially in the area of mobile money, is the mobile money fraud and then the social engineering fraud that we are recording since 2020, after the incidence of the COVID-19, when almost every services was pushed onto online. Another one is the SIM swap itself that you said, and then account takeover. We are recorded increasingly on a higher side amongst our top 5 cases that we are recording at the police headquarters. These criminals and threat actors are taking advantage of the vulnerability of users generally. Many people have a lot of applications on their phones, smartphones, but they don't know how to use it. So stakeholders, law enforcement, the financial sector, and everybody will do their best to do education, sensitization. For example, common OTPs and PIN that is supposed to be kept confidentially. Yet, because they are not well versed in the use of these other applications on their smartphones, they go on and continue to fall victim in that regard. So one of the things we have to do, because this is a shared responsibility and a shared fight that we have to take it to not only the criminal themselves, but educating ourselves first, and then also educating our users. So one of the things we are doing currently with all stakeholders, not forgetting our host, MTN Ghana, for that matter, MobileMoney Limited, is to invest in deeper collaboration, beginning from education of the cyber investigators and then some selected investigators outside the cybercrime unit. And then also training of digital forensic examiners and practitioners, because mind you, the evidence that we may need to advance the course of investigations and then also prosecution is to be able to examine the devices that these threat actors are using in a digitally forensically sound environment. And fortunately, the police service has one of the best digital forensic laboratory across the Africa. Recently, we are the second best digital forensics laboratory here at the CID headquarters, where almost every digital device that is involved in criminal case is brought to us to do the examination, and then proper evidence is extracted, examined, and then report on to assist the prosecution of suspect that we arrest and put before our law courts.
So you have the second best digital forensics lab in Africa.
That is correct.
Charlie, I think the CID needs a round of applause. But you know, when Eben was speaking, he gave me the sense that there is no proper structure in dealing with these things. It's more a relationship-based business in tackling the problems for customers. In your experience, I know there's been a lot of collaboration going on. What is working well for you in dealing with the fintechs, in dealing with fraud? What lessons can we learn from what is working well for you? And what bottlenecks do you have that should be addressed immediately to ensure that the fight against fraud is enhanced?
Some of the challenges we are facing is information sharing. The normal protocol or the standard or the legal frameworks are there, but most of these incidents, if you are to go through the normal protocol, the legal thing, I bet you will never get anybody arrested and prosecuted successfully.
Wow.
Mind you, the prosecution seeks the interests of the state. That is why we have the case titles at the Republic versus the individual. But the victim's interest is also at stake. You cannot be successful in prosecuting such incidents in court and getting the bad actors, put behind bars without satisfying halfway the victims whose money have been lost or who have been taken away. Sometimes a whole life savings is taken away. So the lack of sharing of sensitive data, like user information or transaction information, for example, the legal constraint makes it that you have to go to court through an ex-parte application to get these service providers served with an order for them to provide. But if you are to enhance our interagency cooperation to make sure that, as Eben said, just a call or walking into my office, I also get into his office, or some good friends I equally have with MTN Ghana, I will be responding to at least for informal cooperation means. I will be able to get the information required to use the advance in at least. If I'm not able to stop the transaction or to stop the fraud, I'll be able to recover and then go ahead and then get the suspects arrested.
So time is of the essence when it comes to fraud. Every second you miss means that somebody is losing money and somebody is losing a livelihood. But what is working well, and how can we improve on the things working well?
Time is of very essence when it comes to investigation of any online crimes, because it's just about a click of a link or a click of a button and then the transaction happens. Sometimes some background checks will be done at the back end, but it's almost millions of a second, and then the transaction is validated and it goes on. So what we need to improve upon is our internal informal cooperation. Whilst we go along with the legal framework that you have to go to a court and seek clearance and seek the order before your request is processed and you are given the right information for you to work with. What is also working for us is not just that legal framework and the internal informal cooperation. Building on the personal relationship sometimes, I think, in my view, is also because, as Eben said, after normal business hours, and if I know only a particular person at maybe MTN Ghana or Haptel, I feel so confident and comfortable that I can just pick a call and then ask, wow, maybe Nana from this financial institution or from Eben, and then he's able to link me to somebody who is on duty in the office, and then my request will be processed, and then the immediate thing to do is that our standby team is also bring in the network to make sure that all these processes they are in the known so that they can easily and continuously work on such requests and get the information needed, either to advance the course of the investigation, to stop a transaction or to block the transaction or to recover or to reverse whichever it is. But that is the most important thing, to prevent it. So if you are not able to prevent it, at least you go ahead and then identify the perpetrator with all the relevant identifying and incriminating evidence to support the investigation and prosecution.
Thank you, Nana. Thank you. I know the CID is building a new structure at the head office, a holding cell. Maybe the people you call, if they don't respond, you tell them, I'll give you only 1 hour in the holding cell. Maybe they'll respond very fast. Anyway, thank you so much. And I want to come to you, Joshua. You work with the MoMo agents. You are the first point of contact for a lot of people who transact. What are some of the problems you have now? What are some of the issues your MoMo agents have when it comes to fraud? And what type of support do you need to also be a key player in the ecosystem to help fight fraud?
Thank you very much, Kojo, and thanks to everyone present here. Let me first of all say that every electrical gadget has something we call manual. And the manual is what regulates the electrical gadgets. The same way when you come to our corporate world, we have the HR policy manual. That stipulates the rules of engagement and the standard as to how work are supposed to be done. You could do the work, but if you do not adhere and comply to the HR manual policy as to how the work is supposed to be done, you have a challenge. The same way happens to the work we're currently doing. When you look at the act that regulates the mobile money, that is our Payment System and Service Act 2019 Act 987, you realize that MTN Mobile Money has drafted what we the agents supposed to do. I want to tackle it from there before I come to the problem. I believe that everything boils down to education. Man ought to understand what we are in now. We are not just running mobile money like a table, no. We are now really involved. When you look at the data Shaibu brought out, and even I think Bank of Ghana just about a month ago brought out the data as to how mobile money has become very, very, very important in the financial inclusion system. So it is not a joke. So we really have to acquire knowledge in operating the business. And I think a lot of times the agent becomes vulnerable for lack of knowledge. Just as Hosea 4:6 says, lack of knowledge, my people perish. So I want to first of all dwell on the knowledge acquisition and understanding of what we are in now. Once you have a clear understanding who you are and what you are in, it propels you into succeeding in whatever you're doing. But a lot of times, some few agents, some of us, we take it for granted. And you realize that that is how come a lot of these things come in. Over 17 years, there are still agents who have never been frauded before. Not that fraudulent activities are not gone on them, but because they adhere strictly to the rules of engagement, the manuals that we are being taken through. So it boils down to education, sensitization, intentional training and retraining, both on the part of the MMLs and on the part of we the association.
So for training, for example, should we do monthly training, quarterly, annual trainings? What should be the strategy to do this?
As many as we can. Okay, training as much as we can. So training is very important. Now let me come down to the question you asked. Having established that fact, you know, one of the challenges we go through, I think has been spoken a lot by my senior panel members, and even Shaibu spoke about it. We have the fake alerts. Okay, again, this fake alert, when it comes, any agent who takes his or her time to read it would realize that this is fake. When you go through the rules of engagement, you realize that it's fake because you don't have to look at the message. Because now through social engineering, as we all know now, and through AI and how sophisticated, this is not individuals again. I think this is a serious cartel. This is a full-time job by graduates, by people with high intellect abilities who have engaged themselves to partake in this. So you don't take it for granted, okay? You have to make time to check your balance. But a lot of times, we the agents, the fake alert, how it eludes us is that we depend on the message. So as soon as you receive a message, maybe you are doing a withdrawal message, and you receive the prompt, 600 received. You don't go and check your balance. Then you just give the money out. When it happens that way, the person will go away only for you to check your balance later and realize that you've been frauded. So you realize that in as much as let us tackle the ones that we have the ability to and leave the others for the MMLs to deal with. I want to tackle more what we can do to prevent it and leave what we cannot with the MMLs.
Please go ahead.
The authorities. Again, we have the reversal fraud. And that is where I would humbly appeal to the MMLs. Okay? Because how do agents fall prey to this? If I have about 5 to 15 days before a reversal will be completed, and someone calls, okay, that, I will help you reverse a transaction within real time. Everything has to do with real time. Don't forget, a lot of times are not really operating our businesses. We have employed people. So when they make the mistake, they want to correct it before their bosses comes. So, for lack of education again, they may be tempted or swayed that if I call MTN, for instance, 114-419, okay, or 0244-300,000, and they will tell me that fine. And even with that, let me even say this. When you place the call to report a fraud, assuming a reversal fraud, what happens is that they will tell you that, your call is being recorded. You are the next about 20th on the line. It will take the next 15 minutes. A fraudster? We are talking about real time here. So we humbly want to appeal to MTN. They are doing great. And all the other MMOs, that they are doing great, but we are talking about real time. You see, time is of essence. Yeah. And delay defeats equity. So since we are working with people who are now so sophisticated, if we could find a way, I know the 419 is an improvement and addition to what they are trying to do to broaden the scope. However, if there could be a way, I don't know how. I am not a professional in that. I leave it with them, but they should look at it, because that is one thing that makes we, the agent, fall prey to that. And again, we also have the third-party withdrawal. These are challenges that agents go through always. When you partake in this, you'll be frauded. When you read your manual that you are working with, you realize that don't encourage third-party withdrawal. When you do, what is third-party withdrawal? Someone will come and tell you that, my brother or my auntie is sick, and he says, until the person comes there with a phone, you have no business doing anything with the person. Because when you do, for all you know, the person is at gunpoint or has been frauded. People are there. When you do, and the person goes to report, that is how come agents, a lot of times the agent, they come and bother with the leadership that, and Omar blocking me, you're blacklisting me, because you did not adhere to full compliance of what you are to. Because if the person is there, that is when you should initiate transaction, withdrawal transaction. But the person is not there and you do that. And if the person is frauded, what happens? Yeah. I think recently an issue happened in Kumasi. I think the police are still investigating, so I wouldn't like to go so much into it. I mean, it's on this line, this same line. So we should be very wary as to allowing third-party withdrawals, because it doesn't help us. When you do that and you are frauded, definitely the MMLs would always stand with the code of the rules of engagement that we are working with, and you see that you always be found wanting. Another one has to do with the A-to-A transaction. The A-to-A transaction, again, when you understand exactly what you are doing now, you realize that A-to-A transaction is agent-to-agent transaction. Unless probably maybe you are a hub, and even with that, you should know the people you are dealing with. But if someone calls you or someone comes to you and says, oh, I'm an agent from the moon, just comes to you and say, I'm an agent, and all of a sudden I want to push maybe 100K to you so that you give me fiscal cash. And I would even, some of them, I don't know whether if out of greed or whatever, we even negotiate with them that would, okay, you have to, if you are pushing like, let's say, 100,000, then you have to give me like 300 Ghana cedis or 200 Ghana, because the person is a fraudster and quickly wants to push out and get his or your money. My brother, even if you are taking 10% of it, you will say take it. Now, when you give the person the fiscal cash and the person takes it away, and the case of fraud is reported, they will block your line. They will block your line. They will seek court order and whatever to even sometimes withhold the money and use it as exhibit in court. Now, don't forget that a lot of us are running on borrowed monies. That's the hard truth. Agents, we don't have money. We borrow to work. So when it happens that way, if your money is withheld even within just a day, at the end of the day, some are giving loans which we are paying with interest daily. I've seen some of our partners here. I don't want, they are there. They are there. Okay, they borrow us the money and they take the interest daily. So you can imagine if your money is withheld within a certain period of even a day is a problem. So that again, let us stop it. These are problems that affect us. The same swap. I was in the Upper West just last week, and I went to a MoMo agent to do a transaction. When I went, the lady was so vulnerable. I just wept. I understood it clearly that she has not come to terms as to what she is in now. She's still thinking that she's doing the, no, because you allow people, and you could clearly see her PIN code. So when you expose your PIN code like this, some is standing here, the other is standing on the left, some in the front, some at the back, and even having people within her area of operation. How many of us goes to the bank to see even twin sisters and twin brothers joining their sisters behind the counters? No. The rules tells you that don't allow people within your inner perimeter.
Now, that brings me to my next question. And please forgive me for cutting you. When I was going to have my national service with Coca-Cola, we had the Coca-Cola sales and entrepreneurship training for 3 weeks, intensive. When I moved to construction, even though I had a degree in building technology, the business that employed me took me through a month of training. I know the banks will take their new employees to the National Banking College, insurance people take people. The MoMo agents, the employees you have, do you have a standard training regime that you give to them before you put them in those structures to do digital banking on your behalf?
Thank you very much. I think Yes, we do. However, we feel from where I sit, I think we could do more and we could do better. And when you look at the team we are dwelling with today, uniting against fraud, strengthening the stakeholders' collaboration, I realize that that's how come I would also encourage every agent to join the association. It's very important because we leverage on the network we have to, educate ourselves. Okay, we also appeal to the MMLs to continually support us, bring us in terms of their education and their sensitization. They shouldn't wait until probably maybe they are initiating a new product. They are doing very well. I must commend them. They are doing very well with that. And I think we Oliver Twist would ask.
When I come back to you, I'll ask you to give me one thing you think we can do within the next 30, 60, 90 days to help us build a better ecosystem. Please put your hands together for Joshua. Nanatunde, you are the last person I'm going to talk to before I take the recommendations on what to do. So you have done a lot of work. Earlier we spoke about some of the threats, some of the issues. There was a question that I think Shaibu answered about the fraud trends that are most concerning right now. And so what are the fraud trends that are most concerning to you right now? What internal controls or interventions have had the biggest impact in reducing fraud? And maybe based on what Eben and Nana said, are we going to do something else aside from a good relationship and calls at midnight to ensure that problems are solved immediately?
Okay, thank you, Kojo. And I think I echo the thoughts of my CEO and many of the other comments that have been made here. It's worrying for us as well, some of the trends that we've seen. I think the biggest headache is how pervasive and how evolving the social engineering trend is. One, because of the speed. Two, because the attack frontier is interconnected. You would usually find that by the time a fraudster defrauds someone and moves wallets, for instance, into a MoMo wallet, they are moving it into another ecosystem and they move it around until they are able to cash it out. And so that has been one of the biggest challenges. Two, also, is the level of coordination that they have. Listen, we have systems in place that, enhances security for us and our customers. But these fraudsters also understand those trends. I see somebody here who recently did a video about getting defrauded, and it was very interesting because, and I was relieved that for the first time it wasn't Momo's fault, because usually that's who everybody blames. But in this case, it was another institution, and it was a regular, I found a phone number on a website, and I called that phone number, and I was taking through a setting process that I believed that because of the technological way that I was being taken through the process, it was a genuine one. And you get defrauded that way because you share an OTP, you share a PIN, and then your funds are taken. But everything happens in split seconds. The other part that is quite worrying is the urgency, and I think that that's always a part of it that we must always keep at the back of our mind. And I think it's a standard anti-phishing technique we always talk about, that if somebody is requiring you to do something urgently, it most likely means it's not genuine. So if they are requiring you to, share this quickly in 2 minutes, we need you to share this PIN in 2 minutes, and so, so that we can help you, usually that should raise a red flag for you and say, that's something that you need to look at. I think that ultimately, and I think my CEO shared this, it's the vulnerability of our customers that we are most afraid of, and the exposure. It's usually the fraudster being able to take advantage either of fear, because it's money, it's your money and you don't want to lose it. It's the trust that you feel that this is somebody who claims that they are calling you from your network provider or your financial service provider, and so they're giving you some information about yourself, and so you are trusting that what they are saying is true. Or sometimes it's just that, like I said, the level of urgency that you feel that if somebody has said something to you like, did you just receive a call? We've recorded this person as a fraudster. We want you to give us that number so we can block it for you, and we need you to do this immediately. All of those things is what gives us fear. But to the second part of your question about internal controls, we're doing a number of things, and the interventions we've made, again, has also involved. We've improved the security of our app, for instance, because we're doing MoMo first. And so like my colleague on the panel said, now if you are authenticating another phone for your app, it would usually require that you authenticate through your first phone before you can log into your app. There is the OTP that expires in minutes, so that even before you are able to share it, it expires and you have to generate another one. All of these, and then we are building on the awareness and the controls, the awareness and the education as well for our customers, which I like to call, it is your superpower. What you give out is your superpower. We understand that the main vulnerability is that your account number is your phone number. And so once somebody knows your phone number, the only other thing they need is either an OTP or it's a PIN. So that means that it heightens your security and means that you shouldn't be sharing it. But I think that the biggest part of what we continually need to do is the collaboration and the intelligence sharing with our law enforcement, with our fintechs, and especially with our banks. If we're all able to come together, chamber, institution, and bodies, to be able to sit down and understand what our problem is and collaborate and intelligence share, I think that we'll be one step ahead of the curve. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana. And I've noticed that every other day, maybe sometimes it's daily, I get a push message via the app telling me not to share my PIN, not to share my OTP and all those things. Is it safer to use the app compared to, say, USSD? When it comes to fighting fraud for consumers, should they rather gravitate towards the app more than USSD?
Well, the answer is in the technology. So if I stole your phone today on USSD and I did *170, I have automatically exposed you. But if you have the app and I took your app, even if I can open the app, I can't log in once I don't have your PIN. Or even better, if I don't have your facial recognition. None of those two things will work. So from the level of technology, the app is always secure as long as they're able to keep our information safe.
A round of applause for Nana Tunde, ladies and gentlemen. So from all the submissions, from Stephen, who started, to Eben, to Nana, to Joshua, and Nana Tunde, there are regulatory issues, there are legal issues, there are private issues, there are operational and processes that we need to deal with. There are also the social issues. We are going to have the Q&A, but when I come back to you, each of us will have 30 seconds. What practical initiatives can we take together, all of us together, to ensure that we build a robust industry, we fight fraud, and to ensure that within 90 days, Shaibu can come and stand here, make a presentation and tell us that fraud has reduced by 90%. That, Ebenezer, you can go home and not have to worry about calling Nana at midnight for help. And Stephen, you can do your business without having to think about sending emails, but rather try to help your customers to do better business and grow their businesses. So when I come back to you, I want you to give me that, okay? But the floor is open now. We are all players in this industry. In fact, somebody who has my phone number has already sent me their question, typed neatly and sent to me. And so if you have any question, you can raise your hand. We'll bring you the microphone, and then you can, a hand up here, a hand up here. Please raise your hands. We want to see as many here as well, and at the back. Okay, so we'll start from the first person here, and then we'll move. In fact, if you have a question, if you don't mind, just stand so that the ushers will see you easily and bring the mic to you. So we have a very good flow. So if you have a question, just stand. We'll bring the microphone to you. So, sir, please, your name, your company, go ahead.
My name is Ernest from First Bank. This is to no particular person. But do you see the rollout of the Ghana card as a payment wallet an opportunity or a threat in fighting fraud?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. We'll note it. I'll take two more and then we'll answer them. MoMag. Yes, MoMag, right? Yes, please give the mic to the other association member.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Stephen Kweku Gorman from MobileMoney Advocacy Group, Ghana. Okay, so I want to speak to the topic we are talking about. My colleague on the panel sits. I thought he was trying to address some issues, which I think I'm coming from the perspective of the topic we are treating today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are the frontliners when it comes to fraud, because when you come to the field, we have seen it all, because it happens, we report, sometimes no solutions, and we have a lot of in-depth knowledge about what really happens on the grounds. So from where I'm coming, I will not put it as a question, but I think there are some measures MML, we recommend the MML to put together. Since they want us to work together on this one, we'll be very happy if we can have a collaboration when they are going for this community engagement on fraud, public joint education campaigns. Also, if we can have I don't know if they have a committee when it comes to fraud. The agent association must be represented on that committee. And if they can have a digital, we are talking about digitalization. If we can have a digital app where there can be coordination between the mobile network operators, okay? Because sending mail takes a long time. Somebody who will respond to the mail is busy partying somewhere, and there is a mail waiting. You understand? So yeah, sometimes you send a mail and the response is very late, very, very late. So if there's a digital platform where the CID will be able to know what is going on, Telecel can report, AT can report, and it will be picked up immediately and worked on. It will help. Because that mail thing, for me, it's outmoded. Yeah, and also invest in the agent, tools for agent to detect fraud, okay? Because sometimes, as I'm saying, it's all about digitalization. If agents are able to know that, oh, this is money laundering, because the agent crowd doesn't understand what is money laundering. So when he's involved in money laundering, he doesn't know that, why this man keeps bringing 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, 50,000, and he keeps taking the money. He's not questioning why he's always the one moving the funds. But he's happy making commission, right? Mm-hmm. The guy who received the 400K, he did not receive it for nothing. There was a compensation. But unfortunately, he didn't know where the money was coming from.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Stephen gave us 4 points that we should work together on education and community engagement. We should have the agents associations represented on a fraud management and response committee of sorts. We should have a digital platform for coordination of fraud information and management that the various agencies can plug into. And we should have a tool to enable agents detect fraud and money laundering. These are 4 points I wrote from Stephen. Madam, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I'm also called Linda Wahima Mensah from MoMac, same group. So since we are talking about fraud, I'm an agent, and I want to ask these 2 questions. So the first one is, what protection and support mechanism are in place for agents who strictly follow all operational procedure but still fall victim to fraud? And how does MobileMoney Limited ensure transparency and feedback after such incidents are reported? That is my first question. And the second one is, given that many fraud cases stem from customers' error or lack of awareness or education, what collaborative initiatives are being implemented to equip agents with standard education tools and fraud awareness? Let's say the stakeholders join driving fraud awareness, especially in the rural areas or low literacy communities.
Thank you. So Linda wants to know what protection is there for agents who do the right thing but still fall victim to fraud, and what protection, collaboration are we working on to ensure we work on together? I think Stephen gave us your answers before your question. But when you come back here, we'll attempt to answer them further. Sir, your name and your business, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my name is Senyo Gavu. I'm with Absa Bank. So we here are quite, in the know that there are so many dynamics to how the scams and the frauds are occurring. But my simple question is, what will you tell that individual that you are trying to send money to, and they will say that, don't send money to my MTN because they will see that I have received money and start calling me. So send it to my Telecel or AT, right? Because there is that traditional mindset status quo that there is some internal something going on in the MoMo MTN environment whereby if a wallet is idle and starts getting active, receiving money, automatically, for some weird reason, they start receiving calls. And it happened to me personally. Some years ago, I had an MTN SIM for a while. I never really actively used it. But when my dad passed away, we had to activate the MTN to start receiving funds, and then I started receiving the calls. It was like the first day I started receiving calls. But again, we still have today where you want to send somebody money and they will be like, they will see that I've received money, so send it to another network. So I think the question is a bit impregnated.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for him. I'm looking at the time, and I'm looking at the fact that we will also have the chance to have lunch. So, Shaibu, if I can suggest, whilst we have lunch as well, we have the panelists here, we have Shaibu and his team here. If you have any idea as to what you think we should do going forward, things we can do within the next 90 days to fight fraud, just find a sheet of paper and write it. I can come around and take them because we'll put all these things together, we'll synthesize them and work with them. So we may not be able to take all your questions and comments here, but we'll spend time together to network for lunch. So we'll take the final person from here who has been standing for a while. If we can bring the mic, you can come forward and take my mic.
I'm here. Hello.
Oh. What frauding me? I didn't see you. What frauding me? Okay, so please, 30 seconds. Then you also have 30 seconds.
So good afternoon. My name is Maxwell from the KGL Group. So I wanted, earlier when Shaibu was speaking, I wanted to ask a question about how their fraud monitoring or alerts procedure is. So yesterday, something happened on Twitter, former now X, where an individual was able to amass almost 1 million Ghana cedis in less than 15 hours, saying that send me more than 5,000 cedis, I'll double the money within 24 hours. Now, for developers here, if I create an application or a website which demands that someone signs in using a Gmail account, Google at a point will block it or will block accounts from receiving OTPs when they notice that the traffic within a very short period is very high. Now, the person who owns an MTN MoMo wallet, agent wallet or so, is receiving a constant amount, which is over 5,000, within a short period, and is able to amass almost 1 million. What is being done? As it was, luckily, it didn't turn out to be fraud, but assuming it turned out to be fraud, once MTN and a particular number is receiving over 5,000 Ghana cedis within a short time, over almost 1 million cedis in a day, what is being done? Are the funds being held? I mean, what goes into the fraud monitoring policy? Because somewhere 2018, 2019, MTN was able to hold almost 11 million cedis from a Savannah brokerage or something, a Ponzi scheme. So currently, what is the fraud monitoring or procedure like?
Okay, thank you, sir. And so we'll take the final person here. There's a mic behind you. The lady behind you has a mic.
All right, so thank you for the opportunity. I'm Christian Okanse from the BAM Association of Ghana. So just as my colleague has asked, I was asking about whether the MML can introduce a threshold of an amount of money that when a customer is sending to somebody, that money can be withheld, investigations done before the money can be sent, just like some of the banks have been doing. Then my next question has to do with, we believe all SIM cards have been registered with the Ghana card. whether the number has been ported to another network, it has still been registered. So what are the telcos doing together with the NIA to be able to combat fraud? Then again, the last one has to do with, I believe, dissatisfaction leads to misconduct. So if agents are engaged in fraudulent activities, does that mean that they are not satisfied with the kind of compensation they are receiving? If yes, then what is the MML doing about it? If not, then can the MML do something to ensure that these agents will be well satisfied in whatever they are doing? Because I believe they would have to pay their employees, then pay themselves, and also due to some operational costs, they would have to do some one or two things to be able to meet those costs. So what is the MML doing about their compensation and to be sure that they are satisfied, not to be receiving some money? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So when I look at the questions, I also see your answers. So basically, you are suggesting to the fintech ecosystem to look at the welfare of agents so that they are appropriately rewarded and taken care of so they don't give into fraud. You're also suggesting that the industry collaborates better with the NIA to check on identity and all those things so that we work against fraud. And you are suggesting we introduce a threshold within the system like the banks do so that people don't lose money beyond a certain point. So those were your questions, but I am converting them into action points so that when we go back, we'll think about these points you've raised and find a way to implement them within the next few days. There was also the point about information flow and protection, which Senor mentioned that they had a funeral and as soon as he started getting money, he saw that people were basically calling him. So what do we do to prevent all those things? I'm just trying to put them together so that we manage the time. So Nana, a lot of the questions I believe are coming to you. So quick reactions to the questions. If any other person wants to have a 30-second bite to the questions and the comments, you can do that. And then you tell us, what should we do going forward? What can we do in 90 days, practically, to prevent and reduce fraud? I'll start with you, Nana.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there have been a lot of questions, and I think a lot of it has revolved around, I think I'll come back to it, how much we are collaborating. And I think there was a question about what we're doing. There's a new conversation about having a command center, right, where we would have teams from all of the EMIs who are able to, in real time, and I know the conversation about real time has come up, in real time to be able to address an issue, identify the issue when you make a call, and be able to readily address that issue for you, whether it's to hold the funds, whether it's to help you investigate, whether it's to block or suspend a number, or prevent the funds from being withdrawn. So that has come up very strongly. I think the inter-industry, and again, my CEO mentioned the very good work that Ghana Association of Bankers are doing, for instance, our ability to collaborate with them on a full education campaign, which can include, for instance, our agents, and be able to help you understand the most recent trends and what you need to be looking out for from an agent perspective, from a customer perspective, from a merchant perspective, or even from a PSP perspective. We need to be able to put that all of that into the box. We need to be able to give specific education for what is relevant for you, rather than just giving general training. Also on the question about protection, internally, we have very intensive trainings about what we call tipping off. So when you make a report to us, our employees understand that for those that information has been revealed to them, under no circumstance should they be tipping off anybody about that information. And that information also is strictly maintained with the intelligence unit. So that's not available for anybody to see. And so that's the protection that you get. However, the level of protection also that you get when you adhere to all of the rules and incidents happen also is on case-by-case basis. And that is how we treat it. And we treat that separately from you making a report to us. I think that's just for the ones that I remember.
Okay, now there's this question here that says, are there plans to introduce real-time security alerts for MoMo accounts when they access from a new or unfamiliar device? similar to how email platforms notify users of logins from different devices.
So today you get a login, you are able to see all the devices that are linked to your app. If you go into your app, into your MoMo and you go into settings, you would be able to readily see all the devices that are linked to your app. Same thing with your phone number. If you dial *402, you will be able to see all the numbers that have been linked to your Ghana card. I can't answer that question directly. What I would say is that we are building intelligence into our monitoring. What we want to be able to do is to build monitoring and investigation based on behavior and not based on rules. What that means is you should be able to see the attack before it happens and be able to prevent it.
Okay. Now, I'll come back to you, Stephen. Final words. What do? We are giving ourselves 90 days. What can we practically do to reduce fraud?
Thank you. I think we should adopt two approaches, short-term approach and long-term approach. For the short term, I think we should sustain education. We should continue to educate our customers to be vigilant and to be careful. When it comes to long term, I remember about 3 years ago, we had engagement with IGP Dampare. He invited all the MNOs and the banks for discussion. At that forum, we suggested that there should be a working committee that will put together a framework that will guide us, because when it comes to blocking of account or wallet, there may be legal issues, for which reason we need to work well to make sure that we protect ourselves, both the MNOs and the banks. The good thing is that we have a common regulator. So if we have a very good framework, we take it to the regulator who is empowered by statute to give orders for us to comply. Then we will work through our regulator. The regulator can also have a team for 24-hour service, so that instead of leveraging on relationship, we can go directly to the team for them to act quickly so that we can solve our problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Ebenezer?
Okay, for me, I think what we are doing at the moment is more of detection and trying to recover. How do we move to the stage of prevention? That is the most important thing for me. And we need that one big boy to lead the industry. That is, as MTN MobileMoney has started. We should just get MTN to lead that and say, any fraud complaint you receive, just through API, because we are techie, for the fintechs, we like APIs. Just through API, just report it to be a fraudulent number. I'll report mine, Nana will report his, you report yours, and at the end of the day, we all have a centralized point where through API, I can just hit that database to know that this number has ever performed fraud on another platform. Therefore, I don't need to complete the transaction I'm trying to do to that number. At the moment, we sit in silos, just like how we are just seated. Everybody is protected by their chest. I don't know what is happening to Nana. If there's an ant biting Nana, I just see him moving himself. But if we are seated like how Mr. Botre and CEO is sitting, I know when I'm trying to attack them, one of them will be alerted quickly than me attacking Madam sitting right there. So I think sharing information and collaborating more should be the way to go. We've been at this, and I think the challenge is the legal aspect of it. When you try reaching out to someone to share information, they talk about the legal aspect and the trust. The information I'm going to share with Eben, how is Eben going to treat that information? So that is the challenge most of us trying to collaborate within ourselves are having, the legal and the trust within ourselves to use that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Eben. So in this request for unity and collaboration, you know, sometimes an institution starts something and we all decide to support, but at the point we all draw back and so for example, can we all agree that we will put 30% of our marketing budgets in a pot to educate people on fraud, so that MTN will put it in, Haptel will put it, everybody will put it in? Or if we agree, you just say MTN has the money, so MoMo your own.
So on that, when you go to the card scheme, the moment you are signing up to the card scheme, there's that fraud tool as part of their platform for you to implement, and it comes with a cost. So whether you like it or not, you use it. So if MTN Payment API should come with a fraud check as part of it, and you have to pay, I don't think anybody here wouldn't want to use that API, because we are paying same for our KYC checks. We are implementing external tools that are not built within Ghana, and we go for those tools which doesn't have any information on the fraud we are trying to tackle.
Thank you. I want to assume you are speaking for the whole industry, so everybody agrees. Please, do we agree to the suggestion by Eben that we all want to pay and put our shoulders to the wheel in fighting? Do we agree? So we all commit funds and resources to this? Okay. 30 days, 90 days, I'll come back. Nana.
Yes. Thank you very much, Kojo. I think unity in fighting the menace or the challenge is very key and basic. If we decide to fight it individually, you're not going to succeed. So that is very key. And then also international cooperation. Because these evidence you're talking about is not only situating here in Ghana, it's across multiple jurisdictions. So recently we realized that even our neighbors, Nigeria, they are using their Nigerian WhatsApp numbers to chat, and through social engineering techniques and methods, they're able to scam somebody here in Ghana. So we also have to enhance international cooperation so that any cybercrime that happens here also happens everywhere. So if you're able to solve it here, then it means you're able to solve it everywhere. Thank you, Kojo.
Thank you. Mr. Boche.
Thank you very much. I think much has been said about it. We are looking at the collaboration in educating the stakeholders involved, especially collaboration between us and the MTN. I think that would really help. Also, I think we have to look at the real time that we attend to frauds that are reported, because frauds happen within seconds, minutes. So if we would have to wait for about 5 minutes before your call would even be attended to, for you to say what is wrong and for an antidote to be found, by the time you are done, you are gone. Also about the command center that our sister spoke about, I think it's something that we must collaborate. It's a good thing, and I pray that the collaboration that would exist between the authorities would be fair enough to help us to resolve that. And also finally, I have always believed that the best way to deal with something is to get the person well informed. I would appeal to MTN that they should go back to the basis where they started. They used to educate us intermittently. When you're even coming in for the agent sims, I know that now the thing has become big. That is why we, the agent bodies, are there. So again, collaboration. Get us involved, support us, and we will do the work for you. Thank you.
You quoted the Bible earlier, and he said, for lack of knowledge, my people perish.
Yes.
What scripture is it?
Hosea 4:6.
Hosea 4:6. I also want to give you another quotation, James 4:2. That if we do our work very well, the first is so we work with Hosea 4:6 and educate people, and we will arrive at James 4:2.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you
Nana.
very much. Thank you,
Let's
Kojo.
go to Dana Tunde.
Yes, I think that my panelists have made most of the points. Maybe the last one I would add is on the part about intelligence sharing. I know that we've worked in silos for a long time, but I think that the information that we can feed each other is how we can step up in front of the issue. So my plea would be that for all of us in this room and for all of us in the ecosystem, let's start building a level of intelligence. At the least, we can share our blacklists if we need to on some of the areas that we have seen. We can share our typologies from where we sit, from the PSPs, from the banks, from the EMIs. We can share what it is that we've seen in our space and how we believe we should be collaborating better to make the fight a win. Thanks.
Thank you. A round of applause for the panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise for a photo. We want to take a group photo with you. And we are going to get into the next phase of the conversation where Sylvia will come and wrap up everything and give us the key takeaways from this conversation. But before I invite Sylvia, let me acknowledge the presence of the Chief Customer Relations Experience Officer of MTN, Jemima Kote. Jemima is here. Yes. We also have Jifa Romano Mensah, Head Human Resources. Jifa, where are you? Give us a wave, please. Jifa is here. And I think Jocelyn Dumas is here. Jocelyn is here. Charlie, Jocelyn, you are wearing the gold. Are you just afraid of the scammers? The gold on your hands. It is protected by an OTP. Thank you. You know, Jocelyn shared her experiences to educate people. And I believe that that is also one of the key things we should do. We need to share experiences to educate people so that we fight fraud together. So at this point, I'd like to invite Sylvia, the CEO of the Chamber, to come and give us the wrap-up, the key takeaways, what to look out for, and what we are going to work on together in the next 90 days. A round of applause for Sylvia Owusu-Ankoma.
Thank you, Kojo. And I think our panelists deserve another round of applause. Good afternoon to us all. To be called upon to wrap up such an intensive and comprehensive analysis from our panelists is almost impossible, and I'll do my best. I think I'll begin with the fact that this audience, this conversation is long overdue. And we need to commend MobileMoney Limited for convening such an important platform. The team who put this together, please let's give everyone another round of applause. So I've tried to take a lot of copious notes from our panelists, and I'll try and do justice to the assignment that has been given us, okay? At a time where Ghana's digital financial ecosystem continues to expand at the pace of innovation, such conversations as we've had here today is really essential. I was recently in Barcelona, and I think one of the conversations beyond AI was financial inclusion, financial safety. How do we ensure that the MoMo or mobile money environment is really protected? To see that MobileMoney Limited is championing that conversation amongst ecosystem partners is one that I will commend again. From what we've heard from the panelists, I believe it's clear to all of us that fraud is evolving. Clearly, it is no longer an isolated or opportunistic incident. It is coordinated. We've heard that it's increasingly sophisticated, and our response to it has to be equally coordinated in equal measure. From what we've heard, I would surmise it to say that we have an interoperability gap. Yes, institutions are doing their very best. Yes, MobileMoney Limited, from everything they've articulated today, is doing its very best, but it requires everyone's hand on the wheel. 5 key things have been highlighted. One of them is the need to strengthen our processes, right? When we take our mobile money agents, how do we ensure that training, which Joshua spoke about, is ingrained, one that is really entrenched and is repeated? Training over training is what he said. Our agents are essentially our human firewall for this ecosystem. And when we break it, whether it's for poverty or lack of training or systems, then all of us are vulnerable. So let's take note of that. Technology, again, is also one that was called out. Whilst there seem to be a lot of initiatives, it appears that they are siloed in nature. How do we move from that siloed nature to a much more robust industry-wide platform? As most of the panelists discussed, it dawned on me that it's quite interesting. 5 years ago, the industry, and I'll say maybe the electronic money issuers by themselves came together to put together what they call the fraud control dashboard, which sits with the Chamber of Telecommunications and the Digital Chamber of Ghana. Over the years, from 2021 to date, it had tracked over 17,622 fraud devices. But listening to the conversations here today, we can all agree that static data doesn't do anything for our ecosystem. We need to get to a point where the command center we've all talked about today in the panel is indeed automated. It's systems versus having to pick up a call to MoMo or to another player to try and get your issues resolved. So one of the key things I call out here again is to move us from a static monitoring or fraud prevention platform to one that is coordinated and one that is jointly owned by industry. Kojo, you need to keep us honest so that in the next 30, 90 days, when we come back here, we can actually have evidence that this system has been put up. Again, to our banks, our PSPs, and our fintechs, we really need to go further, deepening our institutional collaboration, enabling our real-time alerts, and shared intelligence, as Nana Tunde called out. We clearly call out today that fraud has to be a collaborated intervention across all stakeholders. Trade partners have called out our vulnerabilities in terms of ensuring training for our participants or people within the mobile money ecosystem. Let's ensure that we are strictly adhering to these protocols and we are continually monitoring. To MML, the job is big. And as big as you are, it comes with all the responsibility. And you are showing the way by indicating your intent to remain big and purposeful in terms of ensuring you are adding value to the ecosystem. I remember Shaibu's reference to being being big for good. So it's not just a matter of being a market leader, but really translating this into clear collaborations with the ecosystem. Finally, to our regulators, Clara, I see you seated here, so I'll give it to you together with the Bank of Ghana team, Akosi and the team who are here. We need you to encourage us, and we need your leadership. As industry, as you can tell, members are doing their individual bits, but we need the regulator to stand tall with industry to ensure that these systems are actually implemented and guided with the right policies. Let's ensure that we enable real-time information sharing framework as a must-do from this session. So my final thoughts on this session is that trust is the problem. We need to get to a point where beyond the trust that we have established internally, we extend it to the larger ecosystem with the likes of a fraud control dashboard or a fraud command center established as a necessity when we come together to have such engagements again. When we commit to working together, we are not only committing to ensure that our consumers are protected, but we're collaborating to ensure that there is urgency, that every Ghanaian who relies on the ecosystem becomes protected. And we're doing this not only for our bottom line, but for the over 35 million Ghanaians who enjoy our services. Thank you, and I hope that we have all taken the nuggets from this session and to see that come through as actions that the industry will own over the next 90 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Please put your hands together for Sylvia. And Sylvia, I'll come for your notes so that every morning, at least, we also sit on radio and keep all partners here in check. Thank you so much. And Sylvia ended that when we commit together, we commit to protect the over 35 million Ghanaians. and there's one of the 35 million Ghanaians who leads one of the key institutions regulating this industry and driving growth. She's going to give us the closing remarks. When she finishes, we'll present the prizes to the 3 people who won in the quiz we had earlier, and then we'll have lunch. So please help me invite the CEO of GIPS, Clara Arthur, with a round of applause.
Everybody, CEOs present, MobileMoney Fintech Limited, ABSA, I got it right. All CEOs present. I think today has been full circle. Before CEO of GIPS, I worked with one of the UN agencies. I always like to situate, give it right context. And the chairman for the association, where is he? The one on the panel, the board chair. Oh, MoMA. Do you know, he is very right. We did a project which was leveraging IVR to extend financial literacy content to very vulnerable communities. We had 2 regions to work in, Ashanti region and Western region. One of the things we did was that there were 5 MMDAs we had to work in the remote areas of Ashanti region. These are very remote areas, not sitting in this room with all the whistles and bells. But what I can tell you is that we appeared before a MoMo agent who had a list of all the pins. Pin for Shaibu, pin for Sylvia, pin for Jemima, pin for Antoinette, pin for Papa. And when we asked her, she said, oh, madam, oba every week, menkai, onkai, so mature. And it's there. And for me, those are the conversations we should have. And it is true, we are working in silos, and we all have to come together to fight this. It's not one man's problem. And I keep saying, as long as we move into everything being instant Indomie, instant noodles, instant everything, payments are instant. And like we said, once the money goes, it goes. And as for going through the legal framework, that's another bottleneck we all have to deal with. But what I can tell you is that as long as we have interoperability of payments, we have interoperability of fraud. And it's everybody's business to fight that. So, good afternoon, and it gives me great pleasure today to give the closing remarks for this MoMo Fintech Partner Engagement. As CEO of GIPS, I promise one thing, that we would contribute, we would support and lead in this effort. At least when it comes to the interoperable transactions, they all come through the center. And it's important that as part of our stakeholder engagement, we make fraud. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished guests, everybody present here in one room to fight one common problem that we have. Let me begin by thanking MobileMoney Fintech Limited for convening this forum and bringing together key players across the ecosystem for what is clearly a necessary conversation, one that we don't have too often, but I'm hoping that today sets the stage and the tone for us to keep this going. The focus on uniting against fraud, strengthening ecosystem collaboration could not have come at a better time. Based on perspective shared today, which was evident from the panel discussion, fraud remains one of the most significant risk to the progress we have all chalked. I mean, we started this business, not to give off how old anybody is, years back. And I think standing here today to see all of us gathered in this room, it gives me great joy to say that if we come together, the progress we have made in leveraging mobile financial services to bridge the financial inclusion gap, we can use that same determination to fight and unite against fraud. To further underscore the need for this conversation, let me highlight some key fraud patterns our fraud units at the center observed. We identified recurring trends, including high instant payments in terms of ticket sizes. We've seen mobile money interoperability transactions, some exceeding prescribed limits, rapid transaction bursts. Sometimes you can just see that there's some entity or something just pushes transactions onto your network. You have to be vigilant. We have seen repeated low value. In fact, that's the interesting one because they keep trying. Low value, 1 Ghana CD, 2 Ghana CDs, you know, ticket sizes that perhaps you can overlook, but that's just the attempt for them to get into your system. We've looked at failed wallet transactions that are linked to insufficient funds and they keep happening and happening. These are all irregularities we have seen in the structures that we monitor, and we have to ensure that there is some standardization across all of this. These insights have been actively shared, and we would continue to do that with partner institutions for investigation. I definitely appreciate the challenges that were displayed here in terms of how we can share. But these challenges are not isolated to one institution. Fraud cuts across all of us, banks, mobile money operators, infrastructure providers like ourselves. And often these people just exploit the gaps between us. So if we come together and close these gaps, I think that's going to be the first real effort as an ecosystem participant. You contribute in your own quota to ensure that we fight fraud. So as we champion interoperability across mobile network operators, banks, and other platforms, we must also recognize that without coordination, we risk making fraud interoperable as well. And it's as simple as that. And that makes it everybody's problem. I'm sure even if you haven't been defrauded before, you know somebody who has been defrauded, or somebody who knows somebody who has been defrauded, and the stories keep going. And let me share one thing with you. The first point of call, or where we get our financial literacy education, is from friends and family. Usually it doesn't come from all the pamphlets we print or all the radio adverts we put out there, but it's who you ask. And it depends on who you ask. If you ask the wrong person, you would get the wrong information. So we need to ensure that we go into these communities and let them know that information has to be guarded. It has to be for the right people, and the right person must be the person who has access to that information, because that's where people fall foul to fraudulent cases. I had a long speech today, but sometimes when you hear real life cases, it's important that you speak to those real life cases. And I'm not one that goes on for long speeches, at least those of you who have worked with me know that. But I think if we look at the experiences, and I keep saying at GIPS, we've been processing payments for almost 20 years. GIPS is going to be 20 years next year. What are we doing with the data? I keep telling and challenging everybody, we've got the data. All the fraud, at least from the interoperable points that we come in, it's in there. We can see them. I'm sure all the patterns are there. And that's where we use all the tools, AI, and all of the things that we can use, because AI only thrives when you've got the data. And we have the data. So I think one of the things we are doing now is to interrogate the data. Let's use that. Come up with fraud patterns, models, and this is information we would share with the ecosystem as part of the work we do. So this is where I announced that at GIPS, we are setting up regex, which is going to be an initiative and a collaborative space whereby we would work with our participants to ensure that we model the different patterns we have. Look at what is there, share insights, give that open door that would allow participants on our network and within the ecosystem to come in so we can strengthen our collective response and capabilities across the ecosystem. We at GIBS remain committed to supporting platforms such as this, and I hope this is not the next one, probably next quarter, that will bring stakeholders together to align on priorities that actually drive collective action. And I repeat, collective action. As we close, I leave us with one thought. And for me, it's always good to live with that thought where we ask ourselves, as partners working with MobileMoney Fintech Limited, the strength of our ecosystem will not be measured only by how innovative we are, because I think we are innovative, but how we secure and the trust we have in our systems. So ladies and gentlemen, we have to unite and unite to fight fraud. Thank you very much, and see you at the next partner engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Clara. Another round of applause for Clara. The strength of our ecosystem will not be measured only by innovation, but by trust. And you said something earlier. And you said in an interoperable system, we also have interoperable fraud. So basically, baby and Yankopon born and PC, you know. I want to have some tutu nimeko and then Nikobi. Until a top fire extinguisher man Yankopon. That will be the trust. And so we have to work together. Thank you so much, Clara. At this point, you are wrapping up. But remember earlier, some people won some cash vouchers. We are going to distribute the cash vouchers to them right now. And Jifa, if you would not mind, please join me here to present the awards to the winners. And there's something interesting. We had 2 winners at that point, but now we are going to award 4 people. The system generated the top 4 people. Earlier I said we were going to award 3 people, but Charlie, sharing is caring, is it not? So that people will build more trust in their own pockets and fight the fraudsters with us. So 4 people are going to be awarded, 2 women, and I hope the other 2 are men, because one is Twist and one is Saint. So I don't know whether Twist is a woman or a man, and Saint is a woman or a man. So Saint, you didn't know you had won, but you are going to be presented with a 2,000 Ghana Cedi cash voucher. So please, let's welcome Saint to the stage. But at this point, you know, we have to do verification. Oh. So bring your fingers and your face. Please put your hands together for Saint. What's your name, Saint?
Samalosu.
Samalosu. Oh, you're a saint. You're a saint. Please go and take it. Now the third person is the person who plays third is Twist. Twist. Charlie, maybe send me your verification. Twist, what's your name? So why are you called Twist?
So that's my nickname.
That's your. Why do they call you Twist?
Well, I have an SS, so I just kept that.
Please put your hands together for Twist. As a young DJ, I was looking for a DJ name. That was Conti Radio in Unity Hall around 2004. And there was DJ Tomatoes, different DJ names. But I didn't want any of them. And then one guy came and said, "What does your father do?" I said, "He's a physicist." He said, "We'll call you DJ X-Ray." And it stuck with me for years on campus. So Twist, thank you. Now, the first runner-up is Alberta. She's taking home 3,000 Ghana cedis, cash voucher. Where is Alberta? Oh, please put your hands together for Alberta. Hey, 3,000 Ghana cedis. If you move, I win I'm by 10%. I said, come on now, come on. Come on, the 1,001 big coffee. And the winner for today is Lois. I want to be very sure that you won, so I'm going to ask you a question. If you get it right, me personally, 5K straight. Which year did MoMo launch in Ghana? Which year, which month? If you get it right, 5,000 Ghana cedis. You didn't grow up in Ghana? Okay. I'll ask you another question. If you get it right, I want to give you money. Let me just log into my MoMo app. I've logged in already. OTP number. So should I ask you the next question? What is the most important attribute we need to fight fraud? One word, and that word is from one of the speeches. You can choose any word, but if I want to pay you, I will say it is the word I had in mind. Give me the word.
I think we need to collaborate together as an industry.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for her. I said one word, and she said she thinks we need to collaborate together as an industry. And Kaka trust him. Please put your hands together for her. But if you still want the 5,000 MoMo, you can bring your cash. Then I'll give you the MoMo. No extra charges. Thank you all so much. On behalf of the MobileMoney Fintech Limited team, I'd like to say a big thank you all for coming. For me, I look at the data, I look at the impact, and without this business, trust me, a lot of things wouldn't be the way it is. And I always tell this story. So on my tag, I didn't write Kojo of Joy FM, I wrote Kojo Stimulus Technologies Limited. I tell the story of how 18 years ago, we built a music streaming platform that could rival Apple Music, Spotify, back then Deezer, Boomplay, and all those things. But common integration to monetize, we couldn't. By the time integration was ready, Apple Music had launched in Ghana, Deezer had launched in Ghana, Spotify had launched in Ghana. All those are taking over the space. If we had a business like that, like Shaibu was talking about, helping people with sandboxes and all that, I'm sure I would be a millionaire by now. But even without that, this business and your ecosystem has enabled a lot of business, trade, and growth. So please, let's work together. Sylvia synthesized everything. Let's not leave here and have lunch and go and sit in our small silos. We, the Ghanaians, we need you to collaborate to fight this so that next year we come here to celebrate and look at better numbers. MAG and MoMag will not have all the issues they mentioned. The chief superintendent will not have to be calling you at midnight for assistance, and everything will be great. So thank you very much on behalf of Shaibu and his team. God bless you all. Let's work together and build the trust we need for this ecosystem. My name is Kojo Boating. Let's meet on Monday on Joy FM. Thank you. God bless you.